My name is Jonathan Howard. I'm a member of the Florida State Guard Special Missions Unit, and I'm also up here with Aerial Recovery, a nonprofit. I came up here on Sunday with Aerial Recovery before we even got activated. We flew up here, and then we got activated, which is great. I have my team up here working as well. Here's the problem. I'm going to tell you everything that's happening from the ground, what I'm actually seeing, because what they're telling you is complete bullshit on the news, and these politicians don't have a fucking clue, and they're lying. I'll say this now, I'll say it at the end of the video. The only thing I need from this video is helicopters. If I have helicopters, I can save lives. Without helicopters, I can't reach these people. It doesn't matter how many chainsaws and trucks I got, I can't get to them. They're 10 miles in, 20 miles, 40 miles in the mountains. There's no way to get with them or even communicate with them. I am literally flying around in a civilian helicopter looking for SOS messages carved in the mud or painted on the ground, and we're dropping down and saving them. What got me fired up about this was yesterday, me and my team did the rescue of that 11-day-old baby. And all these government officials and social media, they're showing that video, that pictures and video of that rescue, and claiming that like they have some like government help with that. And I mean, even USA, I think it was USA Today, wrote an article about it saying it was a Florida National Guard that went and got it, like with a helicopter. No, it was me, my buddy Charlie, and a civilian named Zeb with his own personal helicopter out of Wilmington, North Carolina. Like without that civilian, that baby would be dead. And the old lady we went and rescued after that, she'd be dead too because she had 1 day left of oxygen. No one was going to go get them. I will tell you, when we go up in the air, I probably see 40 civilian helicopters, and I might see 2 Blackhawks, National Guard, military, whatever they are. That's it. No one's out there doing rescues. I have my entire team up here from Florida right now, and they have no ability to go rescue these people other than what they can drive to. And the people that are in dire need, they're out in the mountains. They are completely cut off. Now, I will say, I spoke to my congresswoman down in Florida, and she's a badass, and she made a bunch of phone calls, and now we got 2 contracted 60s coming up here tomorrow, which is great. I love that, but like, I still don't understand why we don't have more helicopters. Like, we'll get a lot of work done with that, but there's no military. There's no one's doing nothing. It blows my mind. And they're not even allowing people to see what's really going on. One of our friends yesterday, they were actually escorting CNN down at Lake Lure, and they wouldn't even let CNN, the sheriff department would not let them go videotape the bad areas, how destructive it is. I don't know why they don't want to show you all that, but I mean, it is bad. I should also say, when I flew here on Sunday, they actually stopped us from going in, the sheriff department. And it was because of a bunch of politics that they were claiming was a Speaker of the House of North Carolina that was preventing us from even going in and trying to kick us out, which I have clarified today with North Carolina politicians that reached out to me, good on them. And they were like, that's complete bullshit. Speaker of the House has nothing. He wants you guys there. But this is the kind of political BS that is happening here right now. Like, everyone's trying to be in charge without taking any type of action. Nobody wants to coordinate with anybody. Everybody wants to pretend like they're being the hero while these people are literally fucking dying in the mountains. And these people, like I'm saying, these people are limited medication. They're running out of oxygen, and there's no one going to get them. The most effective way I have found to go find these people is by getting in a helicopter and flying down the rivers and roads and looking for SOS messages or people waving us down. And then we drop down and get them. We have all these people here. We have law enforcement. We have State Guard, National Guard. They have no way to go get these people. Yesterday, when I was at the Asheville airport refueling, which, by the way, the civilian is paying all this out of his own pocket. He's not even looking for a reimbursement. I think we did 4 refuelings yesterday. And that was like just in half a day's work. We're in Asheville, and I saw 2 Air Force helicopter 60s. And I knew they were PJs, just looking at them. And I went up to them, I'm like, hey guys, like, what are y'all doing? And like, this is what you need to be doing. This is how I'm finding people. And they're like, we can't go. We're waiting on Title 10 orders. And I'm like, what? They can't get any authority. There's military helicopters all over here sitting on the ground, and they can't do nothing. Even my JSOC boys in Fayetteville, they can't get orders to come out here. It is just the most disgusting thing, and they're killing these people. And I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know what kind of conspiracy. I've heard so many things, whatever you want to come up with, but they are literally allowing these people to fucking die in the mountains right now because we can't get helicopters. They got money for everything else in the fucking world right now, but if they could just get us helicopters, we could fly out there and rescue these people. So I hope this video goes viral. I hope these politicians get fired. I hope people get pissed off. They'll probably kick me out of the state of North Carolina for doing this, but you know what? I don't care, because if I can save one more life for it, it's fucking worth it to me.
Let me get across, Lord. Let me get across, Lord. Please let me get across. Please let me get across, Lord. I'm going to pray. Please, Lord, let me get across. Please, Jesus, please. Please. Oh, I just about made it. Oh, wow.
Doing enough to help the Harris campaign?
I mean, they're doing all they can.
Meet Basil Hamden, a writer and producer for MSNBC's weekend show, Iman. Basil also reveals that, quote, what her message of the day is their MSNBC's message of the day.
What have they done to help the Harris campaign?
Amplify her message. What her message of the day is their message of the day.
Hamden revealed that MSNBC is the Democratic Party's mouthpiece and is doing anything to get Kamala elected. Hamden says this news network is indistinguishable from the Democratic Party.
So is MSNBC just like doing whatever it takes to get Kamala elected?
Yes. It hammers home the point that I'm making, that this news network is indistinguishable from the party.
Are they just the Democratic Party's mouthpiece?
Exactly.
MSNBC is the Democratic Party's mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Basil calls MSNBC viewers brainwashed and states that MSNBC made their viewers dumber over the years.
Viewers get mad at the guests or the host if the host were to criticize Democrats. They've made their viewers dumber over the years. I think brainwashing and dumbing down,
It's bad.
aggressive,
I get it.
helps Trump.
When she's delivering these messages now, I think she keeps getting better.
Kamala Harris is telling the truth. The hate campaign against Kamala Harris has begun. They purposefully pronounce her name wrong.
But as a black woman, the product of a mixed marriage, she's an inspiration.
I don't know, Nicole, vote for her or don't vote for her, but isn't it great to just have a positive conversation right now?
Last week, we saw Vice President Kamala Harris's first mainstream media solo interview of her presidential run with MSNBC's Stephanie Ruhle. Many people were stating how much of a softball interview it was. Here's a clip from that.
I just want to ask you yes or no. At any point in your life, have you served 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, working at a McDonald's? Yes or no? That's it.
I have.
Okay.
With that, OMG decided to look into MSNBC and their cozy relationship with the vice president. Meet Basil Hamden, a writer and producer for MSNBC's weekend show, Iman. Hamden's background includes working at the Huffington Post as a news director and being the executive producer for Michael Moore. Basil met our OMG American swiper on the dating app Bumble and divulged about his job to our undercover journalist.
Remind me where you work.
Right now, I'm working at MSNBC.
What do you do? What's your title?
Writer, producer. So I a live news show on the weekends.
Okay, what is it called?
Amen. Yeah,
I've heard of that.
Basil Hamden, producer at MSNBC, states that MSNBC is helping the Kamala Harris campaign, stating they are, quote, amplifying her message. Basil also reveals that, quote, what her message of the day is their MSNBC's message of the day.
So do you feel like MSNBC is doing enough to help the Harris campaign?
I mean, they're doing all they can.
Which is what? What have they done to help the Harris campaign?
Amplify her message. What her message of the day is their message of the day.
Does anyone really trust the healthcare system? Well, thankfully, there still are some good guys left in healthcare, like our great friends at The Wellness Company. The Wellness Company has been with OMG since day one. And now they're proud to introduce the ultimate first aid emergency kit, meticulously created to ensure your access to and your loved ones will be the company's first aid, WC.health, anything to get Kamala elected. Hamden says this news network is indistinguishable from the Democratic Party.
What you were saying earlier, that the MSNBC aligns too closely with the Democratic Party line.
Yeah, so they're often saying the same exact things. The type of people who work in Democratic politics and in the campaign are a lot of the same type of people that would appear on air on MSNBC. It hammers home the point that I'm making, that this news network is indistinguishable from the party.
Are they just the Democratic Party's mouthpiece?
Exactly.
MSNBC is the Democratic Party's mouthpiece.
Yes. Yes.
So is MSNBC just like doing whatever it takes to get Kamala elected?
Yes. Yes.
Even if there are like clear contradictions that would potentially alienate some of the viewers?
Yes, but unfortunately,
that's bad journalism, right?
It is, but unfortunately, they've made their viewers dumber over the years. Fortunately, they're not brainwashing people with racist propaganda like Fox, but particularly post-Trump, from Trump on, they've really narrowed their audience's mind to the point where even when guests go on their show to criticize Democrats, people get mad at the guests.
It begs the question, why isn't MSNBC's motto, the network indistinguishable from the Democratic Party? Per Basil Hamden, MSNBC is nothing more than a network that is solely based on helping the Democratic candidate, Kamala Harris. Just this week, MSNBC panelist Eddie Glaude stated Kamala Harris has to win. And if she doesn't, our young children in America will have the threat of being bombed at school because of Donald Trump.
We got to come out and try to figure out how to turn out in large historic numbers, because we got to keep this troglodyte out of office. Because if he comes in, our babies are going to be in danger. Because remember, those young children are going to grow up with the memory of having to not go to school for the threat of bombs. When she needs to bust him in his mouth. I'm saying it like that because he's dangerous. He's dangerous to particular people.
These are very peculiar people that are at MSNBC. Basil Hamden, producer at MSNBC, dives even further into how MSNBC hosts and guests are so in sync, they will finish each other's sentences.
Do you feel like MSNBC doesn't necessarily tell the truth?
I think they do from their perspective. Yeah, they do.
But from like an objective standpoint,
it's very partisan Democrat. Their problem, and I think they would have a bigger audience. It would be if they were less tied to the Democratic Party itself. They should be progressive. They should tell the truth from a progressive perspective, but they shouldn't be tied to a political party.
How are they currently tied to the Democratic Party?
They just are way too cozy with Democratic politicians.
How? I can't tell.
If you watch an interview with a Democratic politician, they just finish each other's sentences. The anchor and the politician are just in total agreement about everything.
While investigating subjects, our OMG journalists always find that the subjects we investigate like to criticize or demean the very people they work for or entertain. Basil Hamden is no exception. Basil calls MSNBC viewers brainwashed and states that MSNBC made their viewers dumber over the years. Doesn't sound like they believe in their product.
They've made their viewers dumber over the years. Viewers get mad at the guests or the hosts if the hosts were to criticize Democrats.
Because they're so brainwashed.
Yes.
Into thinking that the Democratic Party can do no wrong.
Not that they can't do any wrong. It's maybe they can do wrong. I just don't want to hear about it. Don't say it out loud, because if you say it out loud, it helps Trump. I think brainwashing and dumbing down,
it's bad.
Aggressive.
I get it.
Helps Trump.
Well, here we go. The market has plunged again. The writing is on the wall. It's time to take action. The elites and big banks are pulling the strings, creating financial chaos. So you can get a hold of them.
Hi.
We should
So you know people here?
about that.
Okay.
Little did he know who he was talking to. As always, if you're on the inside of the mainstream media, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, we know you like us. We know you're fans of us. You just can't say it publicly. Well, guess what? It's time to step up. It's time to stand up. It's time to be brave. If you're sick of the biased news coverage, if you are tired of participating in a system you don't believe in, we urge you to contact us, tips@o'keefemediagroup.com. That's tips@o'keefemediagroup.com. We'll have an OMG journalist reach out to you. You can also DM us. Our DMs are open. We actually return our DMs. We call people back. We have a room of people right now just on the phone with you. Thank you. Stay tuned. Check out lineinthe-sand-movie.com, premiering next week.
What's happening?
Okay. Pay attention to here.
Watch the birdie.
Yeah. Yeah. To keep your head on a swivel, but don't spin around. You know, it's kind of.
Don't get a neck sprain.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I get all wrapped up in the hurricane and then I'm going, okay, I got to focus. Like, I got to bring it back. I mean, it's important. But you got to keep track of what the little minions are doing, you know.
Right. Well, it's the lithium mining thing is, and the fact that they were already trying to do eminent domain in that area, the exact region where
I said that first off, right off the bat. I looked at what deals are going on, you know, and it was so funny. It was the first thing I looked up. I go, you know who, the guy I kept talking about, that was part of Biden's little racketeering team. And he's finally like knee deep in lawsuits, so he's hopefully going to jail.
Wait, which one? I don't remember Biden's little racketeering team.
Yeah, he was silent, but he did a lot of the shuffling and the money and the work and the
Is that Mark Elias?
No.
Oh,
He was part of the let me get my stuff together and I'll.
Yeah, get your stuff together.
No, but finally, yeah, he's going bankrupt. He's getting sued left and right by everybody, and he's selling all his. He's nailed for something much bigger, but they're just bankrupting him. Is basically what's going on. So.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. We are going to get started here in a minute. I just really wanted to kind of, this is typically when we have Octagon, Vinny is out on patrol, knocking on doors. So we have all been trying to kind of fill in a little bit as, you know, we can. So I took tonight. We're going to have fun. I can't wait to hear what everybody's collected on North Carolina. And then I want to start going through the documents that Trash did last July from Media Matters and David Brock and all of that fun stuff, because it's really, really relevant to what we're about to see.
Yeah. Can you just, if you're able to, could you share a little bit on what's how the man, my brain is fried today. Dustin, if their house is okay in Florida, what?
Oh no! So they lost everything except for what they took with them. So they just went there today. Now, granted, they lost everything that was at that place. So they have things in storage. They have things in their RV. So they're scattered throughout the country. Dustin and Jen have stuff all over. So they did have some loss, but nothing that they can't, come through okay. Just more, kind of frustrating than anything.
So is the house totally is it unlivable?
So it'll be livable again. She was surprised. She didn't tell me an exact time, but she said that it's really not going to take them that long because the house is cinder block. So it was like, there's not going to be mold and all that kind of stuff, but they have to do the abatement and they'll clean it out. But the landlords had already gone over there and got all the sand out and got all their stuff out and put it in the truck bed. And then they went through it today, and she's like, I'm itching and I'm done.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. Oh, I was hoping.
Well, I'm just glad that she decided to go, because she at first was not going to go with Dustin up to DC. Because they've got Abby, so that it definitely makes things a little bit more trying. You just want to make sure that you're always got a spot, and you don't want anything contentious when you got your kid with you. So she wasn't going to go, and she was going to come over here. She was going to leave the place, because I was like, listen, when it's pushing up like that, you don't want to be there. And luckily she did. She's like, Kim, I would have been sitting on the roof. I'm like, well, I don't know. You might have got sucked out. So
I'm just glad they're safe, and the things are being handled, and you just move through it, right? Like everyone else affected. So
well, and what I said to her is, I was like, that is something that you and Dustin now have as like a positive, right? Because the government forced them off the grid, essentially, they can operate like that. Like they are already set up for that. So I said, you're going to be able to move through this a lot easier than other people, because you've already done this several times. So that doesn't mean it's not a pain in the ass. So hello, everybody. All right. People need to get up here and start talking to me. Or Kelly, is that you? All right. Well, Michael, Walter, one of you. Noonie, I see you down there. Stacy. All you people can't hide. No. All right. So I do have some clips from, things that I watched today on North Carolina. So I can play some of those in a minute. Talk about, look at them all. They all come up. I like it. Rent a friend. Kelly, you want to co-host?
No. I can't co-host and stream at the same time.
Craig,
not that talented. Sorry.
We're going to get Craig co-hosting. Craig's going to start hosting here soon. I can't wait.
Go away.
Not sure if this works. I'm on my laptop. I've never used it before to speak. Can you hear me?
We hear you fine.
Yay!
I think you can co-host on your laptop, but you have to accept the invite.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Accept invite.
He's got to mute everybody again.
I love it when you fat fingers. It's always at the perfect time.
Well, now I'm using a mouse, so it'd be a hard excuse. Fat mouse.
Michael, Walter, Rose, either one of you guys want to
So everybody's, I'm sure. Oh, good afternoon, everybody. Evening, wherever you're at. Everybody's heard of, obviously, about the flight restrictions for any private craft over there in North Carolina.
Oh yeah, they've been really trying to bamboozle and really keep people from actually sending in aid.
Trying to kill, Republican voters.
I posted a list today on American Mission of all the horrible things that they're doing. Not all of them, just the top.
one of the best people to follow on that is Margot. She is in North Carolina, and she's really involved in all of the groundwork and working with Nick Sorter and a whole bunch of people doing all the independent work for assistance there. It's quite remarkable what's going on.
It really and truly is. And so I said to my colleague, I want to know what you know. Like, I want to hear what you're hearing, because she's my my litmus test, right? And she basically tuned out and I didn't deal with it. She's like, I'm going to dig into it today. And so she hasn't really sent me too much except for the FEMA statement. And I sent her a few things.
And FEMA's broke.
Yeah. They don't have. I'm sorry, they don't have any. They don't have enough resources to get them through the rest of the hurricane season, which is less than 30 days.
Well, it's for American citizens. It doesn't really matter. It's FEMA.
Well, FEMA Kamala wrote a bill, or somebody did anyway, passed last year to divert some of the FEMA money to welcome centers and refugees and asylum to help them out. And that was last year. So they're taking part of the money there.
$1 billion.
Oh,
yeah.
$1 billion they pulled out of it? Okay.
And our backup, like for transformers and electric stuff, that we were supposed to have for when we have natural disasters. Y'all doing, hey now, I was going to say it. Yeah, when to Ukraine.
Stealing her thunder, man.
Sorry, I'll withdraw my thunder.
See, give him a little power. Look what he does.
I know. Look at it. Just boom, right to his head.
Yeah, it's like that mute button. Okay.
He's co-host now. He has the power now. All right. So, oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about. So they're not, because I did see something that some people were getting stuff, but a lot of people, like Black Mountain area, and there was another town where they were like completely cut off, and they're not letting. So I thought a whole bunch of private citizens were bringing their helicopters in.
They're blocking them.
Yeah, they're blocking. It's North Carolina. They're blocking them.
I believe it's even Samaritan's Purse they're blocking.
I hadn't heard that. I thought Samaritan's Purse is local, like their headquarters are there. So,
oh, you know what it was? It's the Samaritan. It's any Samaritan. It's not Samaritan's Purse. It's just the Samaritans.
Yeah, a lot of Margot said that if you do want to make donations, that she highly recommends donating to Samaritan's Purse because their headquarters is located so near the disaster zone, and they're, it basically they can get equipment and supplies, medical supplies, everything, up there much quicker, and they have the infrastructures to handle that. So I'm going with Margot's recommendations just because she knows the area in and out. She knows everybody there. So I don't know what she's doing right now. It would be, I can send her a message, but I know she's been working behind the scenes, like, 20 hours a day, putting things together there. She's doing an incredible job.
Yeah, she was on the Punch Bowl this morning for a while, and she was getting people organized. She was like, if you got time to help me with spreadsheets, I'm sending you a spreadsheet. She's pretty funny. But she also recommended donating to the local fire department. She said they're all volunteers, and that they can use the money just even to help them buy their lunches and things like that while they're trying to do their work. And then someone mentioned about FEMA claiming that they're broke, and I've seen all the reports of that they're saying that. But Jim Pfaff, who we've all talked to in Spaces, put a post out like 9 hours ago saying that this very last continuing resolution that we're all pissed they did gave FEMA another $20 billion.
Yeah. Oh, that's absolutely true. And also we've got this. Listen to this.
I see two key pieces. First, right now we have to strengthen Ukraine's position on the battlefield. And that's why today I'm proud to announce a new $2.4 billion package of security assistance. I've also directed the Pentagon to allocate all the remaining security assistance funding that has been appropriated for Ukraine, period, by the end of my term, which is January 20.
I mean, the balls. And FEMA's like, oh, we've already sent $20 million to the affected hurricane regions. No, I'm sorry. What's up, honey?
Hey there, Kim. Thanks for having me. I'm just working, so I wanted to just kind of share with you. So yesterday, I was doing a space with people like totally like friends that like nobody here knows, a different set of friends, let's say, and but wonderful people. But so they were kind of inquiring about what was happening in North Carolina. So I DM'd Margot, asked her to come in, and she came in and gave the whole dissertation for about 2.5 hours. And all of my friends were completely blown away with her, and like the real information that she was giving. So I don't know what you guys have run through already, but just a few of the high points or the highlights, I should say low lights actually, is the death toll. The gross lack of reporting. The number that she said, and I confirmed it with everybody in the room, is closer to 1,000. The missing people. My friend Sassafras puts up a new missing person every day, their profile and last seen, etc. And then there is a gentleman. I just, I have one that I found the best resources for, but they don't have water, and like. Oh my God, girl, they don't have the means to accept electronic money. So it has to be cash. This is according to Margot. So Camilla goes on, first of all, and says $750 per person. Okay, they can't spend it. Secondly, and then you get 3 nights in a hotel or a week's worth of food. Are you kidding me? $200 billion to Ukraine. I wanted to puke. And she said this. It was like the hubris that it must have taken to go and go in front of a press conference and make these statements. I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. She's sunk into the lowest possible denominator at this point with everything that we all know that has happened. So, and then the governor, and by the way, this is 100% political. The governor is Democrat. That area is extremely red. It's the reddest part. It's going to be a long time before they can even get mail, let alone, how perhaps the longshoremen's, strike is going to affect them. But here's the other thing, though. They're the waterways, and I keep forgetting the name, but there's basically boats that, can go up and rescue people. Well, the one that really knows that area and those waterways through the hollers, the governor did tell him he couldn't go. He denied them insurance. How cute is that? He denied.
I mean, this is murder. This is
Thank you.
At this point. And so, are you talking about when Kamala talked today when she's talking about the aid? Here, I've got that. So let me play that real quick. It's short.
And
the federal relief and assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA providing $750 for folks who need immediate needs being met, such as food, baby formula, and the like. And you can apply now for anyone who's watching this who has been affected. And the federal relief and assistance.
$750. What the fuck?
Wait, and how did they reply?
That they can't spend.
They have to apply online, right? Yeah. If they can get, and then they have to prove that they need it. So really it's going to low income people, but it's the whole thing is maddening. And it's $50 more than Lahaina.
Well, it's $50 more than Lahaina because, and I'm sorry, you have no supplies. I mean, Texas Trucker came into Chris's space last night and he said, I usually get scrambled for disasters because I have a refrigerated truck. I have not, FEMA, I called FEMA. They said they have no loads for me. Nothing to take in there. Now that to me, it is, again, what do we do? What do we do with this?
Well, you know what though, Kim? You can't get into these areas because the roads are like what Margot
right, but they could be
saying.
staging. They could be staging, and they could be taking helicopters up, and they could be, they could be getting people's stuff, and they are turning people away.
Yeah. No,
They
well,
are
what's happening is there's no logistics coordinator. I mean, what I'm gathering is that
where'd all those
where are
billions
all
of
the
dollars
logistics
go?
coordinator, because so many people. Here's my take: it's a double-edged sword with the helicopters and everything. Is that you have what? God knows how many volunteers of people who want to fly helicopters and stuff, right? Well, you run into a situation where so many people are in the air. There is no coordination, and there could be, a possibility of problems. That's
I
A.
get that. I get
And
that.
then
But
B is what Margot said is, the flyers out of, say, Florida or some of these bases that are used to flying in flat Florida terrains or Texas terrains, up in the mountains there, it's completely different in terms of how you fly, the skill set that you need to fly in that terrain and the wind cycles. There's
100%. But I'm not
Yeah.
talking about them. And that Honey was talking about that, honey badgers, like it's some of the like experts that are there. Like people that live in the area. The number one guy.
I know that they denied them insurance. Yeah, Margot shared that. Yeah, no, there's a lot of shenanigans going on for sure. It's sickening. Yeah, they're playing politics with people's lives, and it's really grotesque.
And they don't care. Like they're kind of bald faced about it. But I will tell you this. I want to know what they're telling the masses, because I don't.
That's just it, Kimberly. Well, if you're consuming your news anywhere but X, I firmly would submit, if you're getting your information anywhere else, you're not getting the real information. You're seeing a 4 body count death toll. That's all you're seeing.
100%.
Yeah, they're basically saying there was river flooding up in the mountains, and but they're not covering it as the disaster that it is. It's total minimization,
I saw a woman today. She was talking about how the smell is so bad because there's so many bodies piled up at the bottom of this river. It's like, I mean, I've heard just some really horrendous stories coming out of there.
Yeah, the water's filthy. It's a nightmare. I don't know. I'm Harry. I'm stuttering. I'm so frustrated. I'll stop.
Stop. You're so cute, Kelly. Go ahead, Noonie.
Well, it's quite obvious they're being Maui'd. It's quite obvious there's a land grab. It's quite obvious they're going to murder who's ever left. Frankly, if I was there and I saw any illegals, there'd be another body floating in the river. If I saw any government official who was, stopping aid, that's murder. That's freaking murder. Then, why? How do they enforce it? How are they going to enforce the no drone thing when there's no communications? How are they going to enforce it? And this is the thing. When you live in a remote area, you know how many police officers there are. You know their names. You know where their families live. And well, when they're over there, they're not going to be over here. I mean, just everybody's just like, little Boy Scout, can't break the rules. No, in a situation like this, where people's lives are on the line, how many kids are out there? I've heard stories of kids being raped by illegals. I've heard about the looting and that kind of nonsense. But the thing about it is people have to just go and do it. I mean, how are they going to enforce it? How are they going to enforce these decrees? They've made these decrees like King George III. They're even worse than King George III was, to be honest, and you're all like, going, okay, we won't. Okay, I'll be a good little girl. Are you kidding? Are you fucking you guys got to learn how to, dig in for your inner renegade and go, forget it. I'm going to go save that person's life. I'll deal with the court later.
Well, Noonie, you saw the one.
They'll shoot you. They'll shoot you. That's what they'll do.
Well,
they'll shoot you. Well, you can shoot them back.
You saw the one where the lady or the guy was in his helicopter with his son, and he stopped to pick up one of the elderly people. He left his son up on the side of the mountain, and then when he dropped off the wife, the older wife, the police were not going to let him go back up to get his son. He's like, I'm going to go pick up my co-pilot. And so he had to leave the old man out there after he brought the wife home into, to safety. I mean, what the hell is going on?
No, it's they're being murdered in front of your eyes, and everybody's being so polite. Well, I'm gonna, obey the law and watch them die. Like how I don't know how Christians sort that out in their brain. Like, yeah, I'll obey the law, the unjust law, and watch other people die. No. You go in and you say, and I come from a line of people who do this, who I've got, in like you go do it. I mean, my great grandfather was running medevacs, in dog teams, for Pete's sakes. You just friggin' do it. And for everybody just to sit back and go, oh, but they said we can't now, so we're not gonna, I am aghast. I mean, people got to start, getting the fluoride out of their water. Seriously.
I thought I saw that they were doing
I don't really
it,
think that that's what's happening, Noonie. I think they are going. I think they are risking everything. I think they are defying it. And I think that that's an unfair judgment. I really think that that's an unfair judgment. I'm sorry.
I hope they're doing that. I really do.
No, they are.
Because for everyone who breaks those things, they're going to save more lives. And, you just don't know whose lives you're going to save. One of those kids might be a future president. You just don't know that. But the thing about it is, to like right now, they're telling everybody to stand down and watch as everybody gets Maui'd again. They Maui'd Jasper up here, and now they did it down there, and it's for a land grab. And there's people are just, watching and going, oh, well, it's not me. No, you're next. We're all next.
So I heard DeSantis sent his National Guard over there. This is one of those issues where, if the governors got together, they could take over this whole operation, understanding that these people that are running Washington right now are incapable and inept. This is where,
the governor of North Carolina is 90% of the problem, no quartering.
There you have it.
Well, there's also problems with the military as well. You have the 82nd Airborne there, and you have Fort Bragg there. I mean, there's no reason why all those who are there aren't assisting. And then you're talking about only utilizing maybe 10% of your National Guard. It's
their hands are tied. Their hands are tied.
Yeah,
but
they can't. They want to get off.
Yeah,
they want to get off the ground.
They're perfectly capable of doing this, but their hands are tied by the government.
Well, go, Chris.
Since I don't have to put my hand up anymore.
Hell no, you don't. Got the power.
The power. The power.
Yeah. I'd like to remind everybody that the bandwidth that you're on right now, that the cable companies use to transmit, that the airwaves that the radio stations use to broadcast on, and that the TV stations use, that is all owned by we the people, and it is licensed by us to them, and their licenses can be revoked. They
can we give them to like OAN?
We do not have to kiss their ass if they abuse their license. And abusing their license means not acting in the public interest, which means lying the fuck to us about anything. I don't give a shit what Obama gave to them or anybody else. If you abuse the First Amendment, then we don't have to give you a piece of bandwidth to broadcast on. Period. CNN doesn't exist without bandwidth. The broadcast stations can't send a signal out. The radio stations can't send a signal out without bandwidth. And that can evaporate in a heartbeat.
What about
just like these 200 stations George Soros bought, okay? He may be able to buy stations, but he those licenses are subject to us. It's like a liquor license. It's just like a liquor license or a license to sell cigarettes or a license to sell guns. If you abuse it, you can lose it.
But how do we revoke it then?
I am so sick of us being, of us feeling like we are at the mercy of these people. And what we need to do is we need to inundate the FCC every day and inundate the Congress every day, that if they don't straighten their shit out and get these people to either stop lying or stop lying by omission,
they keep signing continuing resolutions and funding them.
That we do not consent to them giving them their bandwidth. It's bullshit. It's just like you got a bar at the end of your street and they're selling to little kids. They lose their liquor license.
Chris, are you campaigning to be the new FCC chief?
I'm just saying, you can't tell me that you got this situation going on in North Carolina where we listened to a trucker late last night who told us that he didn't get a call from FEMA, that people who he has been in contact with didn't get calls from FEMA to stage material, which means food, water, supplies, ahead of the storm in the same way as they would normally get calls from FEMA.
Because they don't have any of it.
Well, there are supplies, okay? Nobody's grocery store in this country, in this nation is empty at this point.
No, but FEMA's coffers are empty because they've given it all to, our newfound friends. Walter, are you as pissed off as Chris is?
I feel his pain. Continue, Chris. Continue.
And the bottom line is if they wanted to, they could find it, but they don't want to.
People are trying to bring it to them.
You've got a president of the United States who has a bully pulpit. Write the son of a bitch a speech that he can read off a teleprompter. He can go to Walmart. He can go to Amazon. He can go to whoever the hell else and get whatever he needs. The same way that Trump went to Ford and had them make, had them take cars off of the assembly line, to manufacture other things during the pandemic. You know, companies in the country will do things if you ask them to. I'm sure that Jeff Bezos would have been happy to divert shit for FEMA if he'd have been asked, but nobody asked him.
Did you see that Biden was claiming, credit for the Starlinks that were going in after he tried to sanction him in that area?
Hey, by the way, with those Starlinks, I heard this morning, I assume it's true, on that space with Margot, that Nick Sorter paid for every one of those Starlinks on his credit card, which is just crazy.
Oh, yeah, Trump was going to go into North Carolina, and he said, I'm not going to go because it's too much of a problem for me to go there. Not only because the roads are not conducive for that, but it's disruptive because of who I am. But I've been in touch with Elon, and we're confident that he's going to step up and provide Starlink. We've got we've delivered a whole bunch of stuff here to the people in Georgia. We've got plenty of money and supplies to deliver to stuff to people in North Carolina. But just like somebody just said, the governor in North Carolina is sitting in Raleigh with his finger up his ass, not facilitating anything through his emergency management agency. And the governor is key to everything in a state emergency. If he doesn't want to do it, he's got a general of a National Guard who can pretty much take care of that. Or guess what? He also has a lieutenant governor. If he's too much of a wimp, turn it over to your lieutenant governor. His lieutenant governor, I promise you, is not a wimp.
I mean, can we charge him with murder for just ignoring these people?
I mean, this is being done on purpose, and I have no idea what reason except to make the public so pissed off. They're pushing for something.
Y'all, I'm just saying, from the get-go, this storm has been weird.
Well, these images need to be out there. These images need to be out. This is not flyover country. This is the East Coast. I know people, they don't want to see what Appalachia looks like. Okay. But from what we were told last night, this area has been, overbuilt, and he said you can get a building permit for a house, but you can't get a building permit for a road. And they have just overbuilt with houses, and they have abused the environmental rules to a point that these flooding rains that came down during the storm would not have done what they did if they had been allowed to manage the terrain the way that they have done it for generations. And this is the same kind of shit that you see out in California with these forest fires, where they don't let the people clear the underbrush, and you end up with these old growth forests, and they get burned down. Now, in a natural situation, that's going to happen, okay? And that's not a problem if you haven't built a town of 20,000 people that's right next to a natural growth forest. And you don't want those people to burn up. You know, if it's in the middle of nowhere, nobody cares. Let the forest burn. But you can't do that when you've allowed, 10,000 people to move into an area. And you know that you've got some environmental idiot that's come in to prevent you from doing the right thing,
working the land,
to prevent a flood situation from happening. Look what they did to the San Joaquin Valley with this damn bait fish. They took the arguably the most fertile land in the United States to grow food on, and they turned it into a dust bowl because of a 1-inch bait fish that wasn't native to the United States, because it was on the endangered species list.
So they allow illegal alien fishing as well.
So screw that little fish. We got to grow food. Our people got to eat. I'm sorry. Animals go extinct in this world by the thousands every year. And we don't need to protect that little bait fish. We do need to protect people. And people were dying in North Carolina. And the president of the United States needs to forget about his fucking ice cream cone and his 4:00 in the afternoon nap and get his ass down there and do whatever he's got to do to get this shit straightened out.
Well, he was there today, but yeah, no, he was giddy when he was talking about giving the money to Ukraine, $2.4 billion, and they gave $20 million to the hurricane affected areas. I mean, it is just disgusting.
Well, you can't launder money that's helping Americans. It's much easier to launder money into your own pockets when you're sending it overseas because no one's keeping track of it.
Well, and we also need to speak on how this impacts the elections, but I want to get to Walter. Go ahead, Walter.
Well, we already determined that, and good point, Kimberly, that you're heading towards, because ultimately that's going to be a contributing factor to the way they're handling things. So it's this simple for me. We have, obviously, there's an airport, more than one airport in that area. They all have access to air traffic control. You can't tell me that they can't have a base for those aircraft to land, and each one of them take off one at a time, and they can monitor their whereabouts and what direction they're going. This stuff it should have been played out a long time ago anyway. I'm sure Florida has a plan for everything that happens there and how they're going to be able to deal with damage control and getting in and saving lives if certain things like this happen. All of that is in place. They've practiced it. The National Guard has practiced it. Law enforcement, Sheriff's Department, all of them have practiced it over and over and over again. Why aren't they fixing it? I think we all know. It's because the ones that actually are controlling everything are not allowing the people, or those local people, those people that I just mentioned, to move or to do anything. They're tying their hands. Now, if those people would just say, I don't know why they can't just park, because there's something in the military code of military justice or something in there that states that they can't ask you or tell you to do something that's going to, that is going to, that is nefarious or that is going to cause harm to the ones that they're there to protect. So nobody can tell me that this is not doable. It's not getting done because they don't want it to get done, period. And as far as as far as the communications that, and I think that was Chris was talking about with the internet and all that type of stuff. Well, those people have sold their souls. They've taken government money. They're not going to move outside of what the government has allowed them to do. They're not going to do it because they'll lose all kinds of money that they've become reliable on. So I don't know how that would work, because Walter couldn't just go say that I'm going to turn a switch off. The citizens can't say we're just going to go turn switches off and cut off their communications or whatever it is. We don't have that. So Kimberly, wherever you were going, I think that's a good direction.
Well, I think that, it's again, we're seeing the trickle down, impact of a stolen election. And then you've got all of these local positions of authority, like county commissioners and school boards and, all of those, and city councils and mayors that are, they have already installed their people, right? So that it's, the biggest thing is the plausible deniability thing, right, with the NGOs and all that stuff, and then the other one is that they have put so many people in place. When you tell like a normie this is going on, and they look at you and they go, so many people would have to be in on it, and you're like, they are in on it, but it makes you feel crazy. All right, real quick, guys, before we continue, I wanted to welcome everybody, especially our streamers on Rumble and Pill.net, QUX, Kick.com, X Live, maybe YouTube as well. Welcome, YouTubers, if you're actually out there. We are just digging in a little bit to the North Carolina / Tennessee / Georgia situation. My husband is in Georgia, and he said that they started seeing supplies coming in today, but it wasn't until today. So he's been driving around handing out tarps and waters and gas and stuff like that. But he has not seen one, government worker, has not seen any FEMA people. And, he's in a town where there's pretty prominent people that we're friends with. So if there was some sort of government, staging thing going on in Douglas, Georgia, they would have seen them or had interacted with them because they're, leaders in the community.
Well, Kim, we've had roughly 15 million people come into this country in the last 3.5 years or so. People who've said that they want to be part of the United States because they filed asylum claims. People who have say they want to contribute to our country and affect us in a positive way. Well, here's their opportunity to volunteer. And these are people who come from countries that look like shitholes, like what's going on in North Carolina right now. So since they're used to that already, why don't we just bust them down there and put them to work?
They literally
you can't trust them, and they don't speak the language.
They literally shit in holes.
Well, we can find enough people that speak their language to direct them, and
they'll declare it's racist. I swear, they'll yeah.
Well, but
we can pay them. I don't give a damn about that. But we need people to do work.
I know, I understand that. Don't yell at me. I'm getting the devil's advocate for the Biden administration or something, or someone's going to say, but yeah, I agree. If they want to be here, great.
They're all
you got what, 500,000 people sitting on the streets in New York City doing nothing, getting their $5,000 Visa cards or whatever the hell it is. or people say that they get, here's a perfect opportunity. We got a natural disaster and people need help. And, these people aren't doing a damn thing. Send them down there, have them help out.
They're becoming police officers, Chris. Come on, don't you know?
Yeah, that's a great idea. They could all be deputized.
They are in Minnesota.
Give them guns, and they could just start shooting American citizens, to help the Biden administration get rid of.
Give them an ankle bracelet. How about that?
All right, so I've got a couple of videos. You guys want me to play them on the Appalachia thing? And then I do want to read at least a little bit of one of these documents, because I do want to go through all of the Media Matters stuff over the next couple of weeks. All of the framework for what they did in the last 2 elections, at least. Because of the 2016 election, I mean, basically half the country went batshit crazy and, devised all these plans to subvert our government. And I think it's time that we have a lot of new people in X, which we're very excited about, but they need the lowdown on what we're dealing with.
And who runs Media Matters?
That would be Mr. David Brock. And that is who Elon is suing, because what their tactics were is essentially they started going after Trump in like 2012.
And who funds Media Matters?
Norm Eisen, Hillary Clinton.
That would be George Soros.
Oh yeah, him too. Can't forget about our good old buddy Georgie,
who just bought 200 radio stations. Go figure.
Well, so that was what I wanted to say before we move on, because you were talking about the over the airwaves and how we the people own that stuff, and all I kept thinking through my mind was Erickson, Michael Curry, Erickson. They have the control of the communications. They have control of the emergency broadcast system. They have control over all that stuff. So there's a little wrench.
You have control. You have control.
I'm not understanding that, Chris.
Because we own the airwaves. We own the airspace, I guess.
Yeah. How do we go take it back?
Knock down.
We hound the shit out of the FCC and the House of Representatives if they sign another fucking CR. I mean, honestly, these reps. It's like, when are you gonna shit and get off the pot?
So remember when I was saying last night, and I know I sounded like I was blackpilling, when I said the idea or the thought of getting our own side to rally and get big enough to do anything has been abysmal and very disappointing. And so you're right. If we would come together, but I haven't seen it happen since I started this endeavor 5 years ago. It's the hardest thing to do, is to get people to show up and come together. And I know that's one of your slogans, Kimberly, and I appreciate it. But if anybody comes up with the formula on how we manage to get people to do that, to mobilize and organize,
you know what?
Then we win.
Okay, you know what? It just came into my mind. Black Friday Walmart. How do they do that?
Well, if you know what we did in Maine with the bill up there, and if we had just that many people inundate the FCC, imagine what the FCC would do. Because they don't hear from 25,000 people.
The
at a
time for a
time.
boomer goes to Washington space tomorrow.
You know, they don't, you know, if they got 25,000 emails a week about a particular subject, they would shit themselves.
Well, maybe we need to team up with Truth Trench, and we need a Boomer Goes to Washington space where we start calling these people on the space and just, you know, reading them the riot act.
Yeah, we need to get Truth Trench, and we need to target the people on the committee that are responsible for the FCC, and then we need to target the FCC, and we need to just break bad on this shit and be done with it.
And the key is getting the people to understand what that means and what type of power they individually have when they unite and come together on issues like this. That's the formula that I'm looking for. Is how do you get people to understand the power of uniting and coming together in this fight? And that's the one that I've been looking for, and it's been just eluding me since I can remember.
Well, if you got you know, dozens of bodies piled up at the end of a river in North Carolina, and the news media is hiding that from you because you know, the government is telling them not to, you know, they, you know, somehow the mass grave up in New York City during COVID didn't get hidden. Okay, but you know, those people were in pine boxes. These people apparently are not. But you know, everybody in this country should know that there's a body count in North Carolina.
We have people in the inner city, metropolitan area, right? And people are dying left and right. It's like a war zone there. And then the people in the rural areas, in the suburbs and things like that. The shit doesn't affect them. So they don't move until it hits them in their backyard. And and like Dan Bongino always says, it's just not bad enough. But I'll add to that and say it's not bad enough in enough places yet. That's what I'm starting to feel like. But we'll stay in the fight. We know what it's going to take, and we'll just keep in the fight ourselves. And at some point, the people will need our sharpened swords and our understanding and our attitudes, and they'll rally with us. So let's stay positive.
Chris is right. Everything, Diddy, Hurricane, Biden, Kamala, like everything, it all comes back to the press and what they hide. I mean, that they control everything. Hollywood, like all of it, all of the shit that we are dealing with right now.
That's old news, Kimberly. That's old news. We all know that. So where do we go from with what we already know and what we have already been able to prove as facts? And where do we go from there? We already know that, but those type of situations. We know it.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like Chris is right. We have to go after the FCC because that's what's, you know, we own those airwaves and we can file something to, you know, take back control of it. Or, I mean, we got to be able to do something.
It's almost like we're living in this dystopian situation, and it's like the only way we're going to get to the sheep is somehow getting our message on mainstream media. How do we do that? Do we take over a freaking station peacefully? Of course.
I mean, has anybody like really looked at what they're saying today? Are they talking about it at all, or?
Well, I shared this legislator down in the bubble, and she's a contact person and has set herself up to be a contact person for any Samaritan that is trying to help and is being blocked. I can't remember her name, but she's been out there for a while. I shared her down in the bubble. But those are the people that are out there, those legislators and those officials and those sheriffs. They're out there probably just waiting for,
Well, the guy that came in last night that was from South Carolina said that his sheriff was terrible, that he was in on the take.
Yep, we just need to find the ones that aren't. And
there are plenty of them.
Yep, there are plenty of them.
But then there's also a lot of those soy boy, we live in a country that is run on blackmail. All blackmail.
So if somebody uses a bad word, okay, on a radio show or a TV show during what's considered, daytime or children's hours or family time, whatever, the FCC will threaten, the broadcaster or the person who did it with a fine. If it happens on the radio, they'll get threatened with a fine. There have been people like Howard Stern, who's now on satellite radio, who doesn't care anymore because he can say what he wants, but because you pay for that.
Douche canoe.
But when he was on broadcast radio, he was fined on a regular basis. Because he made he made money that he could pay his fines. But they'll pay attention to that, but they won't pay attention to lying by omission. They won't pay attention to remarks given in Charlottesville that are cut off after 30 seconds when the next 45 seconds make what was said in the first 30 seconds completely different. Because they want you to hear the first 30 seconds. They don't want you to have the entire context. That's lying by omission. And then they'll allow people on their air to constantly repeat that lie and drive it into everybody's mind. And the FCC doesn't care about that. That's no worse than using an F-bomb, on the Today Show. I mean, it's to them, these people are sick.
But we're in a cult, Craig.
Their perspectives are twisted. The Constitution means nothing to these people. we're not looking for less speech here. But what we are looking for is, follow your own rules. If the rules are you have a license to broadcast in the public interest, the public interest does not include you filling the heads of the people with lies.
Hey, Chris, the other side of this battle is what I've seen you do so uniquely, the whole team here is extraordinary when it comes to doing the research, putting down on paper exactly what rules and laws are being broken, and sending a letter to these people in a way that is not threatening but diplomatic, and reminding them of the rules and the laws that they're breaking and the penalties for that. Now, I think that when you formulate letters like that, I think those can be very effective, and then send copies over to their legislators and the people in their area as well, and just get the message out that way. That might be an effective parallel. But along with that, there's some other things that have to be done. I'm not going to talk about them here, but
I would like to start the process to suspend my W-9s so that I'm not signing that contract at the beginning of the year with the government, because I don't want to pay them anymore. I'm over it. Why should I give them my money? They're not doing anything I want them to do. So I think that we need to figure out a way for people who work for big companies to be able to submit to their HR department that they are opting out of the taxation program until further notice. Can we do that, Mr. Taxman?
You'd have to get a lot of people on board. I don't even know what the percentage of people you would have to get on board.
I feel like you could unite under that more than anything.
We all agree that is something that we'd like to do, but we've known that there are a lot of people have gone to prison for that same thing. So it's like, okay, but if you get enough people under that same idea at the same time, then it'll work. But otherwise, that's again, mobilizing, organizing it seems to be, and I say that because at some point, we the people are the blame for where we're at, and so now we're the ones that are going to have to fix it, and that's why I keep going back to what are we going to do? How are we going to mobilize? What's the formula to getting people to recognize their power and getting on board? That's I'm going to keep going back to that.
I will put it to you like this. Your company is required to submit to the IRS your W-4 form if you have more than 10 exemptions. Under 10 exemptions, they're not required to do that.
Wait, what qualifies as an exemption? I don't even know this.
Well, when you fill out a W-4 form, you're supposed to tell them how many exemptions you want.
My dependents.
Yes.
Okay. Wait. So if you're under 10, did you just say that they're not required to submit it?
They're not required to send it to the IRS. If it's over 10, they're required to send it to the IRS. Now, there's also something called a substantial under withholding penalty.
Yeah, I learned about that one. Thank you, sir.
So
Did y'all know that if you because I try to break even. I don't really want to give the government any more money than they should have at 0% interest. So this past year I had 9 children. It was amazing. So now, and I didn't know this before, but they do penalize you if you don't give them enough money. So they tack on a fee. It's like, are you kidding me?
Go ahead, EQ Mom.
Hey guys, it's nice to see you. Chris, I owe you an email. I'm sorry. I have a lot going on, but this made me jump up on stage because years ago, this was one of the things that always confused the hell out of me, which is, I don't have children. Why should I claim a dependent? Well, my dad's like, claim 4. Why? Because you keep the money, you earn the interest, or whatever that number was. You earn the interest rather than the government earning the interest. But Dad, later on, I'm going to have to go back and pay for that money anyway. So what's the breaking point? Like, and that's why I was talking to my daughter the other day about this exact subject, and I don't think anybody really understands the true finance behind all of it. It's too complicated. So yeah, I can claim, like you said, 10, let's say. So I keep more money in my paycheck, but that means I may have to pay later. Well, where do I put that money? I put it in a place that's going to make more money than I would have had I given it up to the government. And no one understands that math. I don't even know how to begin to understand what that math looks like. But there's got to be some sort of formula that at least gives you a breaking point, make it even, right? So you're not giving more. Do you know what I'm saying? I keep more because I want to put more away and I want more to live on. Plus, I don't make enough money to pay a bunch of income tax. That's my life right now, but it wasn't my life before. So I didn't claim as much because I didn't want to have to pay. And it's so friggin' expensive or confusing. And I don't even think accountants really know how to explain it.
Well, at the moment, you need to be able to make more than 8% on your money in order to overcome the underpayment penalty.
It's such crap. I mean, honestly, that the fact, because for my whole life, I have gotten my, refund because I overpaid. Okay. Then the 1 year that I'm like, you know what? These motherfuckers don't deserve my money early. So I did this thing, and I really only had 4 or 5 kids because I was like, I just want to break even. I just want to not give them extra. And I wound up having to pay a fee on top of what I had to pay them for fucking having 4 children. Mysteriously.
I have not heard anybody talk about this topic on X. This deserves a 2025 pre-April tax.
Yes. Well, you got to do it in January, though. You got to do it.
Yeah. Start now. There's too much. After November, who knows? Because, there's just too much. But at the same time, if we, if there's a handful of people, like the kids these days, they don't understand any of this. And it just keeps getting more complicated. And now there's, all these IRS agents and blah, blah, blah. And there's fear. And, this 8%, Chris, to be honest, is that 8% net? Is that 8% gross? Is that 8% before write-offs? Is that 8% after? I'm not asking you that question right now. I'm saying that's why it's so effing complicated, because I just started an LLC and I don't even know where, I have to dig deeper. I'm old enough. It's time, right, to understand these things. But I think this topic, how can we screw the government more?
Well, and that's what, so Chris is kind of getting to that, like, because that's why I'm asking him about, because the whole problem is that when your employer sends that W-4 at the beginning of the year for the upcoming year, is when you are then committed to paying into the system. But if you can get them to not send that for you, then you are not, from what I hear, not as responsible for.
Well, they don't submit that to the government. Okay. The only time they have to submit it is if it's over 10. If it's not, that stays in house. That's between you and your employer.
But they're taking the money out, right? So they take it out of my check.
They're taking it out based on what you put on the form. You inform them, this is what I'm directing you to do, based on what I have surmised that I believe I should be paying.
And then, but that transaction, though, as soon as they are taking the money out, does that obligate you to pay your tax? Like, where is the
16th Amendment requires you to pay your taxes.
Well, no, I understand that. See, I've worked for large companies my whole life. And when we get to that, yes, you're hired. Here, fill this form out. I'm like, well, how many dependents should I? I don't have any kids right now. How many? Well, and nobody can answer it. Nobody.
In some cases, 0 plus take this much additional out, depending on how much you're making.
But that's what I'm saying. It is.
Well,
I'm not a math girl, but Chris, maybe this is a space that you can hold for us and help and bring in some experts, and let's talk about it, because I think there's ways we are being taken advantage of in this area, and I think there's ways we can take advantage of it, and I don't know what that is, what that looks like, but I know it's not easy. And I'm not the girl.
They used to have a relatively simple W-4 form where you just said, okay, I'm going to have this many exemptions and I'm either single or married. And that was it. And then we elected this person whose name is Barack Hussein Obama. And when he came to town, he hired a boatload of people that he decided were going to be paid 6 figures. And those people, the ones that ended up at the Treasury Department working for the IRS, in order to justify their salaries, came up with this brand new W-4 form. A W-4 form that even I don't want to deal with.
I had to watch a YouTube like 4 times.
And people call me up and they say, well, what do I do with that? And I said, everything except the little part that says how many exemptions do you want. You cut the little part out that says how many exemptions you want, and then you throw the rest of it away. And I will tell you what number to write there.
Hey, Chris, got a question for you.
And then we'll go to Sunlight.
I'm so sorry, Sunlight. This is real quick. If you are your own employee or independent contractor, you're under 10 employees, aren't you?
If you're an independent contractor, then you're subject to doing what's called estimated tax payments. And you do 4 of those a year. And that includes, generally speaking, self-employment tax, which is the equivalent of Social Security and Medicare, both sides, less a small discount, plus federal income tax.
Go ahead, Sunlight. I really want to get that guy in here that has a whole book about how you can not pay.
Yeah, I want to learn about that too. You know, it's an interesting conversation, but it jogged my memory about something that Kamala Harris is squarely behind. That is, it was briefly touched on, if you guys recall, in the Waltz J.D. Vance debate, when Waltz temporarily mentioned, you know, the protection of the right to organize act. You know, he didn't call it that, but he did address, you know, unionization and the protecting the right to organize. Kamala Harris is 100% behind this, and if you look at how it went down in California, it's a disaster. It essentially is seeking to reclassify all employees, all gig workers and 1099s as employees, so that they would have to W-2. By pushing them from 1099 to the W-2, as Chris was saying, instead of estimating taxes on a quarterly basis, now you're paying in on a weekly, biweekly, or monthly basis, whatever the employer has to pay. It also enables them to now recognize you as an employee that they're going to turn around and attempt to unionize. Union dues are taken out top line. They're not taken out of the net. They're taken out of the gross. Just like federal tax and just like Social Security and Medicare, they're taken out top line. You know, so this is a backdoor way to get rid of 27 states' rights or 10th Amendment rights of where the states have voted for, you know, to become right to work states, to where you can not be forced into union conscription. To where you have the ability, if they do attempt to unionize, that there's a secret ballot so that you don't get all the thug pressure, you know, where you have to raise your hand and then you got 10 union bosses, you know, or stewards, you know, walking down the aisle and punching you upside the head and saying, get on the program or we're going to whoop your ass, right? So this PRO Act is very, very important. And the reason why is that there's over 70 million plus individuals that are going to be impacted. And a lot of young people are gig employees and they don't know what's coming, you know, so they're blinded by the blue light of the aliens coming down on top of the building in Los Angeles and Independence Day. Kamala Harris, the greatest thing since sliced bread. And they're not seeing what is actually going to happen, you know, with the zapper when it unloads on them. So, you know, bring it up if you know some young folks that are 1099s and gigging and enjoying being independent contractors and having some free-spirited type things, whether they're doing internet work or other work or real estate agents, independent truckers, anybody that is 1099 is going to be impacted. 33 million businesses that hire 1099s, hire independent contractors, are now going to be impacted by this. So they want to make the protection of the right to organize the law coast to coast, and it is going to have a significant negative impact because once they get that done and they try to turn around and start unionizing all these employees, who wins? The Democrat Party, because who gets the dues? 99.99% go to the Democrat Party. And then you got, you know, fat cat union bosses shooting his mouth like this longshoreman union boss, you know, that lives in the $24 million mansion, drives a Bentley, and living high on the hog, while his line guys are going to be out there suffering, you know, and getting a little stipend. So anyway,
I heard that they postponed it until January 15th. Is that right, Kelly?
Oh, the strike?
Yeah.
Yeah, they postponed it. They decided to go back and negotiate more, and they postponed it until January 15th. Yes.
Really quick, Sunlight. That was interesting. And you have a list of people in your bio. Brian Costello is one of them. I used to work very closely with him at one of
Did you really?
Yes.
God, isn't he amazing?
He is amazing. And he's finally getting a little bit more, you know, attention, I think. I mean, he has been, but really bright guy. I worked with him at Verisline, and I just really love the guy. He's just a fantastic guy. So I maybe I know you, maybe we're
Well,
connected.
you know, when we're in that industry, you know, we kind of cross paths, you know. So I was with HP for a number of years, and Motorola Solutions, you know, so quite a bit of work, but predominantly in the retail industry and, you know, high tech sales. But yeah, Brian, there is nobody. I got him connected in with the War Room with Steve Bannon's show, where he was actually a guest on a number of occasions, you know, because his knowledge and understanding of the web that of the Chinese companies and the business structures is just he's in my opinion he's the resident expert.
You're right. And he's been going to Congress. He's been trying to expose these people that are in Congress that are working. I know this is totally off topic, but it is important because it is not getting any attention. All the people that work basically for the Chinese government, he's been trying to expose. Even on the War Room, he couldn't get he just can't get the attention and that it deserves. But lately, I've been seeing him pop up more, and it just makes me really happy. So anyway, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Chris one quick question. So, on the 8% penalty, so it's my understanding, like, for example, if I go the full year, I claim 6 dependents and I underpaid, let's say, for hypothetical reasons, $1,000 on an $11,000 tax bill, I get the 8% penalty on only the $1,000. I don't get it on the full amount that I paid in because that's the only part that I was underpaid on. So as far as like finding a benefit or an investment that will cover that 8%, you take the 1,000. Well, I guess you're right. You take the $1,000, you'd have to try to earn at least 9% in order to, achieve a delta. So, but it's only.
Did it always is it always been like that? Because I don't remember there being a penalty for underpaying.
Well, no, I mean, because, when prime rate was 0, then, the penalty was like, 2%. Well, you could take and put $1,000 in the stock market and easily pull 14, and you'd be way the hell ahead just by, buying, the 4 Qs or Dow or whatever, and just a fund, and be ahead. But now that interest rates have quote unquote normalized, they're up around 8%, and it's very difficult for you to find something that is a stable investment because the market is a little bit wacky right now.
Everything's a little bit wacky right now.
You don't know what's going to happen.
So let me ask you this: this whole notion, this absolutely ludicrous notion of taxing on unrealized gains. Is that even something that is plausible?
Not in this lifetime.
To me, that is the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. Because
let me explain this to you in plain English. Okay. Every member of Congress is heavily invested in the market, and they are not going to pay tax on unrealized gains.
Oh, I'm sure they'd be immune.
So they are not going to make that vote. It would be what's referred to as dead on arrival. Nobody is even, it wouldn't even make it. It wouldn't even make it to a vote in committee. that is the most ridiculous notion I've ever heard.
Yeah, and that's with investments. But Kim, we do kind of have the concept on our homes as they exist today, like in Texas, where the school system is funded predominantly by property taxes. They appraise my property, at the Central Appraisal District. They tell me what my value is. There's some caps on how much they can increase it every year, but I pay tax on that value, even though I haven't realized the gain between my investment and that top side. So kind of on an annual basis, I'm paying essentially, that's kind of how I look at it, Chris. It may be wrong, but I'm kind of paying a tax on unrealized gains in
you're
in a
right
sense.
about that.
Well, that's true. That's true there, yeah. But you've got
My home went up ridiculous this year. Like
real property as opposed to equities or is the market in real property doesn't it fluctuates usually in a crash. Okay. And
that is the most hysterical statement.
I was gonna say, not this year, fucking fluctuates.
Yeah, when it crashes, then it fluctuates.
I actually had to have a reappraisal done that I had to pay for to get my tax bill down when it crashed the last time.
Yeah, usually when there's an adjustment, it's a pretty damn big one. Yeah.
Well, Chris, I'd say they'd probably look at your overall gains on the year, right? And then just tax that, whether you cashed out or not. And that would be the unrealized gains.
Yeah.
They'd be looking at tax probably.
So what about the unrealized losses?
Yeah,
Are they going to
exactly.
pay me? Are they going to pay me back for the unrealized losses? Because I'm in for that.
Yeah, because right now they've got this neat little thing where if you have a loss, okay, let's say you lost $100,000 in the market, actual loss, okay, and you don't have any significant gains this year or next year or the year after that, you only get to take $3,000 a year.
And it's been that way for several decades.
And so I'm kind of thinking that you ought to be able to use that up against your income right the hell away.
No, this just shouldn't be a thing. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous because you pay the full amount on capital gains, but you can only use 3,000 of losses.
I remember back in 1986 when they did the first big tax rewrite, and they got rid of what was called Schedule G, which most of you all have never seen.
I've seen one.
Where you used to be able to write off your credit card interest.
It was awesome. You could write off your car interest with a tax smart.
Yeah, I think I saw one at a museum tour next to an abacus.
At the tax museum.
I'm joking. Yeah. Next to an abacus. I'm joking.
Yeah. And people were so pissed off when they got rid of Schedule G because they were so used to writing off their credit card interest. But we got down to two tax rates. It was 15 and 28%. Two tax rates. And they got rid of a bunch of deductions, and that lasted for exactly a year. And Congress couldn't stand it. They had to start screwing with it.
Yeah, and that's when you use your credit card, they had those machines, with the trifold paper on there, and the guy would act, the merchant would act like they were put out, and everybody in line was like, "Come on, man, break out the cash." You put everybody out.
The carbon paper.
Yeah.
And hey, a lot of if you were a merchant, you had to keep that carbon, because in case there was a problem, because you had to mail the hard copy in.
Well, so I do want to pivot a little bit because part of what causes taxation is elections, and I think that we've got to dig in a little bit on that. So you want to wrap up the taxes, and then we can move on to a little bit of election tomatoes, as Ian Carroll likes to call it.
So my question is, what did they do last time when we had taxation without representation?
That was under King George III, I think.
There was a really big party on 1776.
There's going to be a really big party in 2026
But
with President Trump leading the parade.
Washington, D.C. complains about taxation without representation all the time. They even have license plates that say that. The only problem that they have is that instead of having one representative, they have 535. They have the whole Congress because
they have easy access to it.
Because guess what? Washington, D.C. is a federal district. It's not
stay that way. It's an evil place. All right, so I'm going to play this really quick, and that will kind of lead us into, I want to start talking about some of these documents. So hang on.
I'm about to talk about what we're not allowed to talk about. So instead of the word interference, I'm going to use the word tomatoes just for fun, and you'll understand what I mean here. Because RFK said a lot of amazing things on the Tucker Carlson interview he just did, but one big thing that he said out loud that no one's been saying out loud yet is that the CIA actively did election tomatoes in the 2020 election, and we all know it, and it's well proven, and it's not controversial, but no one wants to admit it or talk about it. And I'm just going to throw some shots across the bow right now at the start of this video that any platform that censors this video is actively engaging in election tomatoes again by censoring not only free speech, but true free speech that is being critical of their handlers in the agency.
And Democrats can't even hear this story because it touches so many sort of culture war buttons, but it's a true story. The Hunter Biden's laptop suddenly became an issue about a week before the debate. And Anthony Blinken, who is now the Secretary of State, and who was then the director of President Biden's campaign, went to Gina Haspel, who is the head of this director of the CIA, and said to her, "We need help with this." She then got 51 CIA, current and former CIA officers.
Remember this whole headline? Everything he just said is true, and I'm about to show you the original sources, the actual documents. This is just basic facts. More than 50 former senior intelligence officials, it was 51 to be exact, signed this letter outlining their belief that recent disclosed emails about the laptop has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. This is the actual letter, which no one decided to actually read because they lay out their allegations and then they say, quote, "We want to emphasize that we do not know if the emails provided to the New York Post by President Trump's personal attorney Giuliani are genuine or not, and that we do not have evidence of Russian involvement. Just that our experience makes us deeply suspicious that the Russian government played a significant role in this case." So literally nothing. They're just making up claims to do what exactly? I mean, it's not like the CIA has been doing election tomatoes all across the world ever since it was first founded. Look it up. They do it with bags of cash. They do it with coups. They do it with assassinations, all sorts of things. In this case, they do it with information. And all 51 of these dudes signed this letter. And at the bottom, it tells you who they are. This is all of their names in the order in which they appear. And you only need to look up the first two to realize, Jim Clapper, former director of national intelligence. Yeah, he perjured himself when he lied to us about the NSA spying operations. Oh, and Michael Hayden? Yeah, he set up those NSA spying operations, lied to us about them, and then he also lied to us about the torture programs at places like Guantanamo Bay. Oh, and by the way, Gina Haspel, the CIA director that RFK was referencing at the start, the one that got this all moving, yeah, she was actually involved in those illegal torture programs, and then she helped cover it up by destroying like a whole bunch of tapes of those programs at a black site. So the list of top intelligence officials are literally professional deep state liars. And we know that factually. I mean, if you knew history, you would know that before you even knew that, because the job of the CIA is to lie to you. Think about it. You don't need a covert intelligence agency to do things that you're allowed to do in the open. Then you would just do it with the normal government. And this letter was originally provided to Politico by former top aide under CIA Director John Brennan, Nick Shapiro. Nick Shapiro is an expert in crisis management for the CIA, like the kind of crisis where the guy you want to get into office suddenly has this big scandal coming out and you need to discredit it. That kind of crisis. Don't worry about the fact that the CIA is expressly forbidden from interfacing with anything on American soil and definitely with anything to do with elections. Definitely no election tomatoes here in America, just protecting us from disinformation. And not just the kind of disinformation that is wildly embarrassing, and not just the kind of disinformation that implies straight up pedophilic interest in his child niece. There's pretty much only one reason why a dude duplicates the same photo of his child niece in her bathing suit over and over and over again, all throughout his camera roll. Does it with pictures of her friends too. Has like whole photo shoots. It's super messed up. But obviously it was done to him and his siblings in their childhood too. Whole other rabbit hole. These things happen in cycles. But it also had evidence of all sorts of much more governmental level corruption that you can find in reports like the court testimony of Jason Galanis, Hunter Biden's third business partner, the one that would not play ball. And so they tried to lock him up and keep him out of the courtroom so that he could not tell the true story of what Hunter Biden had been up to, where he clearly alleges that he has multiple instances of knowing without any doubt that Mr. Joe Biden was very much aware of Hunter's business deals and was very much influence peddling on behalf of Hunter. This is in reference to China, but we all know it was in reference to Ukraine too, where conveniently a little warsy doozy happened. But anyways, the letter was enough for Biden to call it misinformation on the debate stage and brush it aside, for the mainstream media to run cover in every single publication, just fucking propaganda, despite us now having House Oversight Committee documents clearly detailing the forensic analysis of the actual accounts, bank accounts, money transferring in and out of Biden family bank accounts. But somehow people still want to bury their head in the sand because they've been programmed to be so angry about this orange guy that they can't even face up to the fact that maybe there's more going on here. Like, oh, you could never believe that the president of the United States would do something like that? He would never be corrupt like that? First of all, not even up to him. It's the CIA doing these things, and we all know how they do. And second of all, I've got news for you. Mr. Bill Clinton, the president of the United States, pause, think about it. He was inviting Jeffrey to the White House like 17 times. He was engaging in the services that Epstein provided all throughout his presidency. And they just invited him to speak at the DNC. As if you don't have a memory, as if you don't know who he really is. This isn't like, oh, he likes chocolate ice cream on the side and that's silly. This is like, hello? What Bill was actually up to makes the Monica Lewinsky scandal seem like a typo. And what the CIA is actually up to is everything they accuse Orange Man bad of doing. And don't get me wrong, I don't have any great love for Orange Man. I just abhor intelligence agencies meddling in our shit and then pretending like they're protecting us. So, props to RFK for speaking the truth finally, even at great personal risk. Props to anyone who's thinking for themselves. Props to Tucker for hosting great conversations. You don't need to agree with people these days on every topic in order to realize that some people are here for truth and honesty and righteousness and just whatever's real, and other people are straight up fucking lying. At this point, it's not about lefts and rights. It's not about reds and blues. It's about the liars, the corrupt, the evil, and those who have real opinions and honesty and integrity and are going to have respectful conversations about our differences, not make up lies, tomato elections, and destroy our country. That's pretty much where we're at now. So basically, fuck the CIA.
I love him.
Me too.
He's seriously one of my favorite people.
I saw him in person on Sunday. Dude is huge.
That's what Jen said. She said he's so tall.
Believe how big this guy is. I looked over and I said, "Oh my God, that's Pete Carroll."
She said it was startling. It was like, wow. So it must have been for both of you to be like, holy cow.
Did the same thing.
So I did put that down in the bubble so everybody can have it, because I know Miss Kelly, I didn't put it down there before, but I did put it down there while it was going on. So
thank you, ma'am.
I'm trying to be better about that. But then also, like at the beginning of the chat is where I put some of the documents that we're going to start going through before the election, because I think it's important for us to revisit some of these things from David Brock from Media Matters, which is who Elon is currently suing. David's claim to fame is that he wrecks people's businesses by getting businesses to not do business with other businesses. And he also likes to get advertisers to not advertise with businesses. Like he has gone after Trump. He went after Trump in 2012, probably because they got wind that he was going to be running when the whole birther thing was going on. So he put out documents in October of 26 or 17, maybe. And then he put one out in October of 2019 for the 2020 election. And then he put one out in October of 21 for the 2022 election. And it is a play-by-play of exactly what they do. So it is very triggering. I'm going to warn you. I need to go pull it up real quick, and then we can get started. So talk amongst yourselves.
So, Vinny, how's knocking tonight?
It's good. I'm actually getting with my two buddies, and we're getting moved out to like 4 hours away, closer to Pittsburgh and Indiana County, because I guess they need more help out there, because our county's doing really well right now with like projections. And so that's pretty cool that I'm going to be going out there and working where I guess they need more people. So that should be fun. Yeah, just having a lot of conversations. What's really cool is also, because I've been doing it locally, real estate wise, I'm seeing so many places that I'm like are beat up, that I'm like, oh man, I got to start mailing these people stuff to see if they want to sell their house. So that's kind of like a secondary benefit of it. But no, knocking doors has been really cool. Talk to a lot of people. A lot of people are just in their own little world. It's crazy how many people are just blissfully ignorant. I'm almost like jealous of them in a way. It's kind of crazy. But I've been so unplugged for a while that I'm so happy that I can just yesterday, I jumped into Mike Mack and Destiny's space and immediately just got filled in on everything that was going on. And man, it's crazy. It's literally like a totally different world. Like just talking to normies.
It is, isn't it?
It's bizarre.
We started out talking about the hurricane impacted areas and what normies are hearing versus what's really happening, and how do we get that message out, and the fact that they're being subverted and the press is not covering it, and that's the governor's ignoring it. Is that murder? Yes, that kind of stuff. So we've definitely progressed through just the ridiculousness that we're facing here.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely insane. The fact that I am surprised that people are stopping. I'm sure there's a bunch of people who aren't, but the fact that if a government said you can't help your fellow man, that anyone wouldn't just be like, shove it and just do what they have to do and just deal with it later. Like, people don't realize when you're going to look back and back at stuff, like they're going to have to explain themselves to a judge while this is all getting figured out. And it's really bad, guys. There's treetops that just have like people are saying oh, the death count's at 200. It's supposedly there were tree counts that tree canopies that had tons of bodies in them. And the horror stories that you hear from people in the back channel, it's crazy. Chimney
Rock.
They're
not reporting any of this stuff.
Yep. Chimney Rock is gone. Like,
yeah, no, there's like there's several towns that are just wiped off.
yeah, people don't realize this is like borderline biblical. This, of course, it's gonna make people be like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, climate change, but like, it's definitely like, that's crazy. It's a once in 1,000-year storm. That's, you know what I mean? That's at least that's what they're saying, which is
Well, but is it like, you know, there's so many different angles, and there's so many things feeding into this, right? Because when Chris's space last night, a guy came in who was in South Carolina talking about how the, you know, improper development of some of these areas, which had not had problems prior to this development. Now the damage was because of the roads that were put in and the highway systems and the infrastructure that they put in place, moving all these people into this area and not respecting the land, just like the California wildfires, and not keeping the forest cleaned out and properly managed. The same thing with these river systems.
Oh, is that what you're saying? Is that what that? See, I didn't even, like I said, I've been decently unplugged. So, yeah, I didn't realize that there were structural issues that had to do with it. I've just been thinking that the storm has crapped on it, and then tinfoil hat that maybe they did it for mineral rights.
Well, they were already like the rivers were cresting 24 hours before the storm even hit, and then they said it was going to be another 10-foot swell. So on my timeline, there was a guy on YouTube that I was watching. He was taking footage the day before, and he was at the some small airport near Asheville, and it was already 3 feet underwater.
That's crazy. Yeah, and then hearing the thing about one of the things that slipped under the rug that I haven't seen anyone else say is there was that plastics company that pretty much was like threatening its employees' livelihoods and being like, if you leave before the water your waste, yo, that's crazy. Making people, if you leave before that, you're like, the people. To me, it's almost the same thing as COVID, but it's just like more direct, where it's just like, do people want to understand how fucked up that is to be like, oh, your livelihood, or, you know, you stay here, and people sitting there being like, you know what I mean? They don't know. You don't know what you're up against. And then that comes through like, oh, it's so sad.
Yeah, no, it is. But I don't want to go back on that topic. But I did want to, talk to you briefly about it. But we are going to go through a little bit of one of the documents. This one was basically right after the 2016 election. And I think this may be one of David Brock's first masterpieces of his. But it starts out with, this is not what we planned, but it's what we're built for. It says the progressive infrastructure groups we've built together were started long before Hillary Clinton ran for president. They were always intended to be the first line of defense and offense when we were under siege. If we keep fighting, our groups will last. We will continue to build for the future, and we will win again. We have the mandate. Together, we won the popular vote, and Democrats picked up seats in the Senate and the House. Trump is the least popular incoming president in modern history, and the outgoing president and popular vote winner are again the most admired man and woman in the nation. The country did not vote for Trump-style change. Trump has the legal authority, but we have the moral authority and the moral responsibility to oppose him. We will fight every day. We are going to fight for the things in which we believe, and we are going to fight against any attempt to erode the cornerstone work and values of the progressive movement and this pluralistic nation. We are going to resist the normalization of Donald Trump, his every conflict of interest, his every bit of cronyism, his every move toward authoritarianism, his every subversion of our democratic systems and principles. his every radical departure from foreign and domestic policy norms. We are going to contest every effort at every level of government to limit rights, rescind protections, entrench inequality, redistribute wealth upwards, or in any other way fundamentally undermine the tenets of egalitarianism that must serve as the bedrock of our democracy. That's the intro.
Is that the memo, Kim?
So that's the one that's got the blue piece of paper.
Yeah, I want to let you know because while I was doing the background, we did a lot of Substack and did a lot of research on all of this.
Yeah.
So I put up in the bubble, there's two things. One thing I titled David Brock and the DNC Influence Machine, and it's got all our links, all our spaces, everything about it. It's got that memo in there. And then then I put in the next one about Media Matters, a thread that Carolina put together. So I'm just letting you know I found our archive of all the stuff that you're looking at.
Perfect. The only other one that I want to make sure that we put, because what I was thinking is every time we do a space and we cover a little bit of this, I want to put all of the documents in the space so that we've got them in multiple places. And the only other one I wanted to make sure we put in here is the count, which I know you've got the Substack on that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go find it.
Yeah, because that'll be the one. I think that we're going to probably wind up, that'll be the last document that we'll go through.
Okay.
It will probably be pretty close to the election by then. But that one we probably will go through again before January, the transition of power. Because in my gut, I feel like they always do what they say we do. And they have been screaming about the coup and the peaceful transfer of power for so long now that I have a really bad feeling about that one. All right, so I'm going to get into this. Look, did anybody want to say anything about that nice, lovely intro from Mr. Brock?
Well, Kim, I wanted to just add something, it's somewhat related, but one of the things that kind of slipped through the cracks in that 2016 election cycle was when Guccifer 2.0 hacked into the DNC server. The first thing he released on a number of services was the entire opposition research paper from the DNC on Donald Trump just prior to the RNC convention, in which Donald Trump was expected to have a floor fight with Ted Cruz, which is why they pushed Trump to hire Paul Manafort, because Paul Manafort allegedly had experience with floor fights, with the anticipated floor fight back in 76 with Gerald Ford and Ronald Reagan. I mean, that's how far back Paul Manafort goes. But that opposition research paper, I went ahead and put that up in the nest because it basically served up to the mainstream media and all the anti-Trumpers a laundry list of narratives in which to attack him across the board, with the exception
These
of
people are the level of just fuckery in these documents is unbelievable. Like, if you read it back as a sane person and you're just like, oh my gosh, like this is so criminal and so anti-American. It is insane.
Yeah, they skirted the law essentially, and then if you read through the table of contents of that document, up in the nest, you can see all the narratives that they just went after Trump on. Failed businessman, womanize, disrespects women, misogynist, boom, 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 with the one exception being Russia, 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 which they withheld because they were still developing that for release, later.
So they forced Paul Manafort in there, and then also you've got the phone call with Don Jr. with that lady, which she was definitely a plant. And now we know that Michael Cohen wasn't definitely a plant. Get in there, and I mean the things that Michael Cohen did to Trump. I mean, if that had happened to anyone else, he would have been.
The way they ensnared George Papadopoulos, and you know, with using the Five Eyes, you know, using intelligence services in the UK and Italy and Australia. You know, it was, you know, they even went to an energy conference and sat down next to him or behind him. And one of the other, what was the other guy's name that, you know, the bald-headed guy with the blue eyes that got, you know, he actually turned around and sued them. You know, the first one that they went after and tried to make him out to be some big Russian agent. He was just like a doofus, you know, he was on Tucker Carlson. Carter, what was his name?
Carter Page.
Carter Page, yes. I mean, where they just intentionally, they just kept bumping into Carter Page, you know, like 5, 6, 7 times. And then they arranged a meeting with the daughter of the Moscow mayor and Carter Page at a hotel. They just, hey, come on over to the table.
And he was super drunk.
And he didn't know what the hell was going on. He didn't have a clue. You know, he's just having drinks at the hotel. Just happened to be there, you know. You just happened to be
listen,
there.
our intelligence agencies know what they're doing. I mean, they definitely know how to run these freaking schemes, and they have certainly been operating fully on our soil. And it's time to, you know, put a stop. We've got to put a stop to this. I mean, I don't even know. It drives me so crazy to think of all of the things that have been done to the American people, you know, out of selfishness, out of just sheer, you know, there is nothing. They don't do anything where they say, is that good for America? No, it's always about their agenda and, you know, or covering up something. Now we're finding out, I mean, with all of this Diddy stuff and then the Epstein and then you got the Pizzagate, it's all linked together, and we are a nation run by blackmail. I mean, that's all there is to it. But these people, so this is, you know, David Brock, he's got this company Media Matters, and they're basically like the hall monitors of the media industry. And they're the ones that kind of created this hyper cancel culture. People like Nandini Jammy or Nandoodles went after Steve Bannon and Breitbart and would get the advertisers to actually stop advertising on them. So I think that they are really responsible for the climate that we see our media entrenched in at this point. So they said, we will apply lessons learned. Generally speaking, and simply put, Democrats got clobbered in the digital space. Digital programs, both tactical and messaging, failed to actively listen to and engage the online grassroots universe. The Trump camp spoke effectively to the grassroots and relied on online channels to disseminate information and misinformation and influence the media, even getting fake stories onto cable TV. And the right colonized Facebook, which has established a virtual monopoly on information distribution. Our digital efforts were largely focused on changing the narrative with the traditional media versus voters. This worked to a point, but wasn't enough in the face of news media incentivized by profit and access and fearful of intimidation and bullying by the Trump forces. We will fully adapt to the new reality and we will win. Here's how. In the next 4 hours, Media Matters will continue its core mission of disarming right-wing misinformation while leading the fight against the next generation of conservative disinformation. The proliferation of fake news and propaganda now threatening the country's information ecosystem. Here's what success will look like. Serial misinformers and right-wing propagandists inhabiting everything from social media to the highest levels of government will be exposed and discredited. Internet and social media platforms like Google and Facebook will no longer uncritically and without consequence host and enrich fake news sites and propagandists. Toxic alt-right social media fueled harassment campaigns that silence dissent and poison our national discourse will be punished and halted. American Bridge will cement itself as the standard bearer of opposition research, built on its role as a progressive clearinghouse for information that drives the narrative on Republican office holders and candidates, and be at the epicenter of Democrats' work to regain power starting in 2017 and building to 2020. Here's what success will look like. Trump will be defeated either through impeachment or at the ballot box in 2020. The balance of power will shift back to Democrats, and we will measurably impact U.S. Senate, gubernatorial, and state legislative races. We will free ourselves from solely relying on the press. Our robust digital program will reach voters directly online. So that was American Bridge. Then you've got Crew. Crew will be the leading nonpartisan ethics watchdog group in a period of crisis, with a president and administration that presents possible conflicts of interest and ethical problems on an unprecedented scale. Crew will demand ethical conduct from the administration and all parts of government, expose improper influence from powerful interests, and ensure accountability when the administration and others shirk ethical standards, rules, and laws. Here's what success will look like. Trump will be afflicted by a steady flow of damaging information, new revelations, and an inability to avoid conflicts issues. The Trump administration will be forced to defend illegal conduct in court. Powerful industries and interest groups will see their influence wane. Dark money will be political liability in key states. Share Blue will take back social media for Democrats. We will delegitimize Donald Trump's presidency by emboldening the opposition and empowering the majority of Americans who oppose him. Share Blue will be the dynamic nucleus of a multi-platform media company that informs, engages, and arms Americans to fight. Here's what success looks like. Share Blue will become the de facto news outlet for opposition leaders and the grassroots. Trump allies will be forced to step down or change course due to news pushed by Share Blue. Under pressure from Share Blue, Democrats will take more aggressive positions against Trump. Share Blue will achieve financial sustainability while diversifying content offerings and platforms. And then top editorial and writing talent will leave competitors to join Share Blue. Right now, our institutions are among the critical few that stand between the America we love and the abyss. We must protect and defend our democratic values. We will not back down. We will only move forward. We hope you'll fight with us. So they can't do that as much this time around, at least with this platform.
Well, they're trying.
I did not know that Facebook was a right-wing apparatus at one point.
Yeah, that's what they blamed the 2016 election on. Cambridge Analytica, that whole thing.
Yeah, but I didn't know that they were kind of seen in that with a right filter.
Yeah, no, I think it's because it's like families and all that kind of remember when Facebook wasn't just like a gulag and it actually was like real? Like you talk to people and you could, dude, Facebook is where I used to kick butt because it was long form typing conversation. It was very, very fun. And then now it's like all my memories are this post does not exist anymore.
It gives me PTSD. So then it gets to the point of media matters, right? So it says media matters will push back on conservative misinformation across all media channels in the information ecosystem and specifically neutralize the effects and infrastructure on the newly empowered alt-right. We will focus our efforts into the following 3 areas: leverage our authority to encourage good journalism, develop technologies to serve as an early warning system for fake news and inoculate social media platforms from exploitation and abuse, implement a robust omni-channel communication strategy, and mobilize a massive grassroots advocacy efforts. And open up a portal and then have the FBI, request that people be silenced and banned from the platform. And this was just the beginning of it, right? So, I mean, think of the journey that we've been on, starting with sort of breaking down these documents last July, and then going through the disarm and how they
created fake accounts and or how they would hack into people's accounts and post on their behalf and then get out like nothing happened. I mean, the diabolical and really illegal things that they've done. Now, I don't know that they can do the same thing, but I'm worried that they will be just as diabolical, but it'll be something that we haven't thought of because they just sit around and think about this shit all the time. Is anybody talking?
No, but I have my hand up.
Oh, go.
Okay, I just want to let everybody know that the people that are listening on the platforms, I put in the chats on each of those the links and stuff that we're sharing in the X. So you're getting the benefit of that as well. You're not missing out.
Thank you, Kelly. So I'm just kind of looking at some of the highlighted areas. Like one of them is forced changes at 60 Minutes over Benghazi smear. In October of 2013, CBS aired a 60 Minutes report that purported to raise further questions about the Obama administration's response to the Benghazi attack based on an interview with a so-called eyewitness. Our relentless research and pressure provoked reporting that proved the account to be a total fabrication. The network was forced to issue a correction and apology, and the publisher pulled the eyewitness's book, published by CBS's corporate cousin, from the shelves. After the network launched an internal investigation for which we were the first to call into the origins of its faulty reporting, the reporter and producer responsible were forced to take a leave of absence, and the show's executive producer promised to make changes to reduce the chance of repeating the error. Slate credited Media Matters writing, "The fast torpedoing of CBS's Benghazi story shows how far the liberal attack machine has come." So, I mean, knowing what we know now, it's just incredible. Had you ever read that before, Chris?
I've heard it. I haven't read it.
Then they said they got Facebook to commit to fighting the rise of fake news. During the 2016 election, Facebook refused to do anything about the dangerous rise of fake news or even acknowledge their role in promoting disinformation. Mark Zuckerberg called the notion that fake news is a problem crazy. In November, we launched a campaign pressuring Facebook to, one, acknowledge the problem of the proliferation of fake news on Facebook and its consequences for our democracy, and two, commit to taking action to fix the problem. As a result of our push for accountability, Zuckerberg did both. Our campaign was covered by prominent national political business and tech media outlets, and we've been engaging with Facebook leadership behind the scenes to share our expertise and offer input on developing meaningful solutions. I love all the little captions on here. So, let's see. They said that they pushed the Roger Stone's bigotry off cable news. Media Matters succeeded in pressuring CNN's MSNBC, and even Fox News to stop booking Roger Stone, a regular guest and longtime Trump ally. Stone has a decades-long history of employing political dirty tricks, and regularly spouting violent, racist, and sexist rhetoric, and used his various platforms during the 2016 campaign to advance fringe conspiracy theories and promote fake news. In late 2015 and early 2016, we aggressively educated network producers who had been providing Stone an uncritical platform about Stone's background. In response to our pressure, CNN and MSNBC confirmed that Stone will no longer appear on their airwaves because of his bigotry, and Stone himself reported that he had been blacklisted by Fox News. So... oh, this other thing I wanted to bring up. So it says senior staff
Angelo Caruson, president. Angelo was named president of Media Matters in December of 2016. Previously, he was the organization's executive vice president in that role. Angelo helped run day-to-day operations, expanded the organization's online footprint, and managed accountability initiatives. In 2016, he took a leave of absence to serve as the deputy CEO for finance and administration of the 2016 DNC. In 2009, as a law student, Angelo founded the Stop Beck effort, which organized participants via social media to successfully convince sponsors to cease advertising on Beck's show. In late 2010, Angelo joined Media Matters as campaign director and worked on its Drop Fox initiative. He later went on to serve as director of online strategy and campaigns. So, then he also organized the Stop Rush effort, which convinced thousands of advertisers to refuse to sponsor Limebaugh's program. And he launched the viral Donald Trump campaign in 2012 that was responsible for convincing many of Donald Trump business partners to sever their relationships with Trump. He holds a BA in the American Studies for whatever. But yeah, so they had all these like different operations to basically take away their the opposition's means for income. It's like they just play dirty. There's no rules.
They're just evil, but it's a soft type of evil. It's not like it's using the pen. They don't have to actually enforce their evil. It's disgusting.
Yeah, so defeating Donald Trump requires preparation and focus. No other progressive organization has the resources and assets that American Bridge has amassed over the past several election cycles to hold Trump, his administration, and the politicians who support him accountable. Only Bridge stands ready with staff already hired, Trump's web of business ties mapped out, and a massive video archive at our fingertips. There will be a need for progressive policy alternatives, but our focus at Bridge will be on real-time political accountability. In this media environment, content is king, and that's where the focus of Bridge remains. A look at the analogous entities on the right further reinforces the need for our work. America Rising, which was modeled after Bridge, has become the unofficial research arm of the Republican Party, the group's 501c4 arm. Rising Squared has already begun promoting Trump's cabinet picks. Trump's campaign allies have also made public their plans to create a new nonprofit dedicated to enacting Trump's agenda. Trump campaign digital director Brad Parscale, who was reportedly empowered by Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner to take charge, will head the entity. The right will bolster Trump aggressively and deceptively. The campaign to stop him must be nonstop. At American Bridge, we have already begun. So, this is sort of like Project 2025, but, on steroids and for the other team. Maybe we should start, touting this stuff.
Yeah, you'll recall after Trump got in office, when they started the lawfare, how they went after any lawyers that were, might represent him or were representing him, and they doxed them all. They attempted to get them all disbarred. At least when in a Marxist revolution in the old days, what they would do with the breadwinners is round you up, line you up, put you in the gulag, or take you out to the behind the woodshed where they had dug the pits and put a bullet in your head. You kill the breadwinner, you destroy the family, you destroy the movement, any resistance, right? You didn't have to kill everybody in the village. You just had to kill, like the top 5 high profile guys. And the word spread quickly amongst the legal community that, this was happening, that all of a sudden you're representing Donald Trump in a legal case, and then you're in the line of fire, and it could ruin your life. It could ruin your livelihood.
Well, the bar association definitely needs to be brought up on charges for what they have done, because how can they even do that? Like, to me, it seems like that goes against everything that the bar is supposed to be.
Well, that's what's happened with all these institutions, right? They've all reverted and become so corrupt that they're actually the antithesis of what they're supposed to be. Look at colleges. You're supposed to be exploring the edge of thought. Now it is a place that tells you how to think. And if you think outside of the bubble, you are now, exiled. It's crazy.
Yes, I'm very happy that my son is not going to college. He's going to learn a trade.
Yeah, he'll be fine. If he becomes like an HVAC guy, he'll be a millionaire. It's crazy what's happening. Like, I did not know how spoiled I was to have a good HVAC guy, a good mechanic. All these, they're all slowly going away because kids don't want to do that stuff anymore. So, yeah, trust me, Kim, it's probably the best decision to ever make. Be maybe an electrician. That's like the only thing that I could think would be even better. The electricians are going to make surgery or surgeon money soon.
Plumber.
He wants to be part-time farmer and then part-time classic car dealer owner.
Interesting.
He wants to be a snowbird.
Plumbers will always have a job.
My dad had a plumbing company, and actually my brother's down in the audience. He runs that plumbing company now, and yes, plumbers are, it's a very good business.
Yeah, no one wants to clean up their own stuff when it comes to that, and it's a pretty dirty job. But then, yeah, and there's a lot, there's a lot to it. No, that's awesome, Kim. I would definitely.
Yeah, I might have to send my teenager over to work with his uncle for a while.
Yeah. Hey, it'll be good for him. He might not like you, and then in 10 years be like, oh my goodness, the skills I have. That's the thing that I feel like our parents' generation screwed up on a little bit, or maybe the generation after us, is they didn't have the time to want to sit down and like force you to do it. And so it was like one of those things where I wish now my dad would have forced me to learn some of the things that he used to know.
Yeah, my son, he used to go with my dad up to the shop all the time. And my brother went every weekend. I mean, every weekend he would go to work with my dad at the crack of dawn and did it his whole life. Got a lot of good skills. I can't get him to come over to Tampa. I have a long list. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of wind her down. I've got some stuff I got to take care of, but I definitely want to continue this conversation because what they've done and what they're doing and what they're going to do, I mean, we've got to stay on top of it. Chris, did you want to say anything before I start wrapping it up?
Well, I mean, I think if you're going to get serious about it, not that you're not, but probably be a good idea to bring Millie in, and since she was really integral in exposing a lot of the.
I was hoping that we'd still have video space so that we could do the sunrise Zoom calls, but no.
Well, I mean, if you've got video and you can hold your camera up to a screen, you can still do video.
Mm-hmm. Who wants to do that? You're going to sit there and hold your phone?
I held the camera up for 4.5.
I know. I don't know how you did that, but that.
Oh, here we go again.
What?
I heard that you held that
muscle memory.
Jen was impressed.
I mean, I'm like Craig. When you're a photographer, you're a photographer.
But you're gonna bring that up a lot, aren't you, Chris?
No, I'm
Chris got paid to shoot a bunch of people in the face.
If you want to get it done, you can get it done.
Well, I got to get a tripod so that I don't have to hold the phone. How about that?
That's what I was gonna say. That's the miracle of tripods.
Yeah, it's an engineering feat that's been available for 70 years.
That's smart ass.
They've had tripods since the Civil War.
Oh my God, you're spicy.
And they're lovely.
You know, since they had box cameras with a little drape that went over your head. You know, with silver iodide slides that went in.
Are you dating yourself?
I'm
Well, I have a speed graphic.
I'm just giving you a history lesson on how you used to have to make the people sit and hold their pose for a minute so the exposure would be all right.
But also you suppose with dead people too, remember?
Remember when Polaroids were awesome?
Yeah, they still have Polaroids.
Oh yeah. No, but dude, the Polaroid camera that printed it out right in front of you when I was a little kid, that was like magic. My dad would always just be like, I can't believe that's real.
Polaroid land camera.
You can still buy a Polaroid land camera today.
Yes, you can. You can.
Well, it's actually made a comeback, with the teens and the young adults, along with vinyl.
Yeah.
My daughter went
You
through
can
all
print
my
stickers.
my daughter went through all my albums, and then she was like, "Who's Engelbert Humperdinck?" And I said, "Oh, that's not an Engelbert Humperdinck. That's where I put the Houses of the Holy Led Zeppelin album because my mom wouldn't let me play Led Zeppelin." And she pulled it out, and she's like, "Oh, cool." We had to hide that. But hey, Kim, I just wanted to call out. I put down in the Purple Pill a paper from Richard Higgins. I don't know if you've ever run across that name, but Rich Higgins was a War College trained member of the National Security Agency when Trump was coming in. And in May of 2021, he saw all the shenanigans and everything that was going on. And he wrote a famous memo called the POTUS and Political Warfare. And he talks about how the Democrats and globalists are using Maoist techniques in which to undermine all the institutions within the United States. And he identifies those, he identifies the techniques, the origins of the movements and everything. It's a fascinating read. But once it got published, he was perp walked out by McMaster's and, fired from the NSA. And he went to a place called Unconstrained Analytics. But unfortunately, Rich left us behind. A couple of years ago, he died on an operating table. But it's just a great read, and I think it'd be relevant to the conversation, as you're looking at the institutions and infiltration of these Marxist globalist ideas and the alignment also with the Islamists. He called that out, because both ideologies seek to undermine Western culture and Western values and Western institutions.
Oh yeah, the Islamic Brotherhood teamed up with the communists in America and created a organization that like back in the mid 80s. So we've had that kind of brewing here for the last 4 decades.
The Red Green Alliance.
Huh?
I think it's called the Red Green Alliance.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. But real quick before we go, I was looking at Facts First, which is part of, is affiliated with David Brock as well. And they would post any sort of wins that they would have, like House Republicans haven't put up. Now it's time to shut up. Tony Bobolinsky brings more rakes for House Republicans to step on. Nothing but a jumbled mess. No love among House Republicans this Valentine's Day. And then it stops abruptly on March 8th of 2024. And I wonder why. That's the last post from Facts First USA.
Is that when Elon maybe sued Media Matters?
See, I was thinking maybe that it was March.
Yeah.
Has it been that long?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting little piece.
Dave used to be a Republican. You know that, right?
Who did? David Brock?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever that means.
To hang out with some of the people that were on that panel that you wanted everybody to listen to.
Yes, he did. And he used to date or maybe still dates James Alefonte, and that's the Pizzagate guy.
Bill Crystal. And
Yep.
She said she was a Republican working for the Washington Post, but she got shamed out of claiming she was at all conservative.
Is that you talking about Jen?
Jennifer Rubin. Yeah.
Jennifer Rubin. Yeah.
Yeah.
We still have not watched that panel.
She was the Washington Post token Republican. She couldn't find the RNC if they gave her free parking, which is like, you can't get free parking in DC.
No, she's awful, but she was like my first garbage pail image that I nailed.
Oh man, I mean, she's
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that, and because I've been waiting to watch that panel, and then the whole video thing went kaput.
There are no words for her. She is.
We just got to get through this. I mean, we just got to get through January.
Yeah, and Kim, Brock was also instrumental in exposing Anita Hill, during the Clarence Thomas type thing, and afterwards, he exposed the whole farce. That was Anita Hill. He also worked with the Arkansas State Troopers, what was called Troopergate, recall, and that's what kind of served as a catalyst for some of the women to come forward. Jennifer Flowers and what was her name, Paula something.
Anita Broderick and Paula Jones.
Yeah, Paula Jones, and they sued Bill Clinton, which then exposed what was going on in the White House. When they showed a picture of Bill Clinton behind the desk, and the mem says, you can't see it, but there's actually two people in this picture.
And that was just, that was child's play compared to what that man was into.
Exactly. It really was, but it led to the impeachment with Ken Starr. And, I put up in the nest also, a picture, we just have to go back and look, and I think that the last time that we actually had a free and fair election might have been pre-World War II, to be honest, like Herbert Hoover's election in 1932. It has been so long as far as the shenanigans, but you could actually go back. There's been shenanigans in every presidential election. Every president in the last 180 years has had assassination attempts on them. It's just I don't know. It just is part of the American experience, I guess. So. But now
it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't, that's the thing too, is there's so many great people out there that they just won't run because it ruins your life. And it shouldn't, serving your country as, in doing your civic duty should not ruin your life.
Yeah, again, I'll point you to the thing I put up in the nest with Trump's, what Guccifer released, the opposition research on Trump, 120 pages. Exploring every facet of his personal life, business life, everything, and those narratives. If you read the top 8 narratives, they were spewed out in the debate, by the moderators. The same damn narratives that they planted in 2015 are being pushed, in 2024.
Well, that's just like there's sequels or like part 4 of every remake movie. There's no originality anymore.
Yeah, it's like the Christian right when Trump ran in 2016. They all got together and they came out and basically they just said, hey, we are not electing the Pope, we're electing the president. And so, we understand that this is politics, and we're going to pray.
Well, now they can use it on their side because they got that hoe.
Huh?
The hoe, Kamala.
The hope and joy.
Guatemala.
I thought you said hoe.
I did. It said ho. I said
Ho, ho, ho.
They got that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, last time, 2016, we had the one who was morally compromised, but this time around, we've got an angel compared to her.
Yeah, remember Walls called her a prostituter?
Yes, I did. I remember that was awesome.
Hawk to a Harris.
Yeah,
and he's friends with so many school shooters too. What a gap! You know what I call him? Kim, I just want to throw this out, then I'm going to drop down. But I love your spaces when I can join, and I love the panel. And Vinny, you are an awesome person, man. I've seen you and listened to you in so many spaces. With Jen and Dustin and Trash and all that. But his mannerisms, everybody was like, why does he do the kicks? Why does he wave like that and all that? And it dawned on me, having raised 3 kids, through the era of some television influence. He's a Teletubby. He is Lala the Teletubby. If you look at it, I'll put it up in the nest. The facial deals when his glasses are off, it looks just like Lala the Teletubby. And then the Teletubbies do all those awkward dance moves and waving and everything. And so I call him.
Didn't one of the Teletubbies have the boy love symbol on him?
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember what the symbols meant. It kind of seemed demonic to me at the time, but the kids, seem to be entertained along with the wiggles, But
that triangle is like that was the cosmic bolt ping pong. That was their logo. I mean,
but I'll put it up in the desk because I've just been calling him Timmy Teletubby, with the hashtag, and every time I do it, I mean, it gets a pretty solid response because people are like, "Oh my god, it is! He's a Teletubby."
Yeah, I like Tim Teletubby.
I like the Chris. Have you seen the Chris Farley coming out on the Tonight Show? One. That one's my favorite. That's because that's the vibe. Why can't he be alive? He would be so funny at making fun of Waltz. It'd be so perfect.
It would be so good.
He's got to do it in heaven.
Top 5 skits of all time was when he was doing, Van Down by the River to Christina Applegate and David Spade, and they just couldn't stop. They couldn't stop laughing, man, all throughout the skit. I mean, he was just like that was fantastic. They're like, all right, Dad, we'll never smoke weed again.
Yeah, it sucks. That's something that I think I want to try and bring back. I think I've come to the idea that when I finally do go to Austin, I want to make like a Saturday Night Live thing where people actually make fun of like what's going on. Because when you watch Saturday Night Live, it's just so bad because they're just so skewed. So it'd be so awesome to just see people really like go into the people. That's why, Adam, I'm not sure if you're here. You've been watching Kill Tony, but man, they got people doing Biden and Shane Gillis doing Trump, and it's been so good. But it's not like a formal sketch. They're just improvising as the characters.
Well, yeah, and I love Kill Tony. I will say though, I think bringing back some sort of improv. Oh, my local. The local candidates, the local GOP candidates here have put together a roast. So they're going to roast each other before the election.
That's amazing. Yeah. What's it called? See, that's the type of stuff that is like, can make things really fun and all that. And that's the thing. The left has become the wet blankets. So yeah, taking over the culture centers where we can, especially in humor, is like, that's what's so crazy, right, Kim? Like, if you watch Kill Tony, it literally comes from comedians that came from liberal areas just coming into Texas and them being like, wait a second, this is so much better than where we came from. And now they're all conservative, and comedy is just becoming more and more conservative. It's crazy. I can't believe comedy is on the right. I could have never predicted this in a million years.
I just came across that clip of Richie Gervais at the at the Grammy, or no, at the what's the movie one? Was it the
Oscars? It was the Oscars, yeah.
Where he just ripped them up and like basically told them that they eat babies and stuff, and they were kind of laughing and clapping awkwardly.
Oh, so good. What did he say? He
So
said,
good.
no one gives a shit what you think, so just take your trophy, thank your God, and get the hell off the stage.
Yes, it was great. He's like, this is my last one, and he was drinking heavily. It was great.
Oh, it was so good. No, the contempt he had. It's crazy because in the world of comedy, you know, it's all about
Knowing what we know now. If you go back and listen to that now, you'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe they didn't like whack his ass.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Well, I feel bad for Owen Benjamin. I don't see him on the platform. I don't know if he's like shadow banned, but Owen Benjamin's biggest crime as a comedian was being 3 years ahead of everyone else. And that's really, it's really sad to see. Like literally Dave Chappelle pretty much stole his LGBTQ sketch, like his whole thing, like that whole line. And yeah, if you guys ever seen Leftist Fitness, the sketch, if you want to have a real good laugh, watch Owen Benjamin's Leftist Fitness. It's one of the only things I think that's still left online of his. But yeah, I feel bad.
You got to go grab that and post it.
Oh, I will. It's so good. I'll find it. Yeah, no, he's the man. I wish Owen should be having people right now apologizing, and he should be on Kill Tony. Honestly, that's because he literally is a legend in my mind. He was making fun of all of these things.
Good suggestion. Maybe you should put it out there.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. He should be welcomed back with open arms into the comedy world. Everyone wrote him off as crazy. Even Rogan, which is, you know, one of the slights against Rogan is the fact that nobody could stand with him because he was the first person to just be like, this transgender stuff is bullshit, and I'm just going to ridicule it till it falls apart.
Weird.
Yeah, hey, Vinny, I put the Teletubby thing up in the nest. You know, I have 2 pictures and then 2 GIFs or GIFs, or I don't know how you say that. My kids always correct me. They get so frustrated with me.
I get corrected all the time too.
Yeah, you know, like even when I try to use my credit card and then they have like the tapping, they're like, just tap it, Dad. Just
when you
insert like, just tap what, you know? And I mean, I start shaking, you know, and I start going into epileptic fits. You know, but anyway, so Vinny, if you take that, because I remember you've done some incredible video stuff, you know, but superimpose his face on the Teletubby, you know, because I'm sure there's plenty of clips out there where the Teletubbies are actually dancing and they do that awkward kick and then the waving.
Oh, Craig's on that magic.
But does that not look like him? Am I way off, or am I onto something? Look at the photos.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If you put some glasses, like some square frame glasses on him, it would be perfect. Dead ringer. That's great. All right, guys. Well, listen, I want to say thank you for coming and listening. And we are going to win no matter what, except for we're not going to do anything dirty or, you know, criminal, but we are going to win because we're good and they're bad.
Oh, why can't you do anything dirty or criminal?
We're not going to do anything dirty or criminal to win.
Aren't we owed some dirty and criminal?
I mean, yeah, but we're going to do it within the law, and you know, we'll get our justice.
Then we'll break out the little teeny guillotines. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Peacefully.
We'll cut off their pieces.
We can be dirty and criminal. We can be.
Damn it, Craig.
There's nothing that says that dirty and criminal can't be peaceful.
Well, you know, I love peaceful. Peaceful rope is great.
You've been huffing on freaking helium again.
Peaceful castration.
Whoops! It's the Ginsu knives.
Of course, Jen comes in as soon as
She does this to me every time.
Oh man!
And put him in solitary with a black light and make him listen to Kamala cackling for 2 hours straight.
That's what we do.
It'll be
unusual.
Jen, you timed it right when we're going off the rails here.
They'll call it Kamala boarding. It will be Kamala boarding.
Yeah, Vinny, we need a Kamala blacklight poster.
Oh, what gross.
Like with Che Guevara, like that Che
Is
Guevara.
it going to be raining in this poster?
No,
Yeah.
you probably
All over her face?
You put all these
Purple
stains.
rain.
There'll be stains everywhere.
Purple rain.
No, we need white. We need white rain. With a black light, you need white rain.
Rain.
We're
That
just
would be
highlighting the
racist.
effects of climate. No, we're highlighting the effects of climate change. Obviously, all the pollutants in the air make the water a creamy white consistency.
And glowing.
And glowing.
React
Jen.
to black light.
Jen, look
And
in
what
the
can
bubble.
be, I'm burdened by
It's
what has been.
Teletubby, Tim.
Right. All I know is the water is definitely polluted. 100%, guys. I have been in it all day. If that shit touches your skin, which I'm literally covered in it at the moment, it burns really, really, really bad. Really
What
bad.
the fuck are you doing in the water?
What water are you in?
The hurricane water that all of my stuff was sitting in. It was great. Let me tell you, garbage bags full of my clothes in the dumpster. Like, pew, pew. Yeah.
I wouldn't
It
even
was,
open those up.
So you're going to get $750?
I'm getting nothing. I'm not taking no money from the government.
She's off the grid, man.
I don't want their money. It's blood money.
It sure damn is.
Yeah, but Jennifer Laurencio, you should apply as an asylum seeker, and then you could actually end up with like 20
Go fill out
Laurencio.
the CP1 app. Get you some snaps.
Should I go scale my border wall?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Turn yourself in and just put a vowel at the end of every sentence and tell them that.
Yeah,
He
just
doesn't even turn himself in. There's the app for that, remember?
yep, just
You just use the app.
He just makes an appointment.
Oh, that's
And then meets them at the border wall, and then they bring her in.
well, they're flying them in now.
Oh, right.
Government airplanes.
But debit cards you don't need an ID, So I mean, you get a debit card, you're good to go. It's not like you're going to get ID'd anywhere.
I love how I get my debit card taken away and these fuckers get a debit card.
Preloaded.
And a luxury hotel room in downtown New York.
All the bottled water and all of the, relief supplies.
Honestly, fuck all these people. You guys have no idea. No idea. Oh, and Kim, remember what I called you and told you when I got that alert? Oh, apparently I'm included too. Yay!
Oh, I knew that was going to be the case. We're going to get these people. Don't worry.
Dude, Tina Peters got 9 years.
I know, not that I watched that whole thing
Is
and
this a
I
joke?
was so mad. I was so
Is
mad.
this a joke? Like, because I am not like these fuckers are not going to get me. That's all I have to say.
Consecutive.
Fuck off.
6
years. 9 years.
9 years consecutive, most of which were misdemeanors. And then he rebuked the fuck out of her.
Is that for telling the truth, right?
For telling the truth, yes, and for doing the right thing.
Well, for exposing the fact that the people who have the election machines insisted on erasing everything that was supposed to stay on there for 22 months before.
Okay, well,
Yep, she saved everything before she deleted it.
Yeah.
This is the thing. If this is what America represents, why the fuck do I want to be an American? Right? There are beautiful places in this world, right? The whole thing was like, oh, you're an American, like you have rights and like you're free. Like, if that's not the case, like, why the fuck, like, what the fuck?
This
has gotten me nowhere. It has
Russia.
gotten me absolutely
free.
fucking nowhere. I am way worse off than I started. Way worse off.
Always go to Costa Rica.
Well, I just had to throw all my stuff into a trash pile all of my clothes and everything, like notebooks full of notes that I have taken for years and years and years and years.
Oh, Jen.
No, I'm not in a good place right now.
Well,
Sorry,
at
guys.
least you've got it all in that head of yours. So if we have to, we'll just extract it and put it down on paper again, or we'll have AI do it.
Yeah, let's get a hold of Elon and get her a Neuralink or something.
We'll have recorded spaces, and then they'll.
I ain't putting no chip in my brain, because if I've stood for Christ and everything this long, I'm not getting no chip in my brain. Okay, like I'm just leave me alone. Like
We'll do the
give me somewhere to go. I will be left alone. Okay, like just a beach. Like just leave me alone. Right? Like y'all won.
Shit in the water.
Yeah, Costa Rica.
No, they won. They won. Like, what are we gonna do? You think, like Kim, like you said, you think Kamala is gonna leave office? Nope. Do you think any Americans are gonna stand up and do anything about it? Nope. And I really don't want to live in fucking Russia, dude. It is cold there. It is freaking cold.
That's why we're going through these documents, because I just have this feeling, because they always do what they say we do, that they are not going to have peaceful transfer of power, because they have been grooming us for that.
When they let in 8 million, 10 million war age men that, if I win, these guys, they look like soldiers. I mean, I'll put a thread. I've been kind of monitoring this for a long time. And the other thing I put down there, Kim, is I visited some friends in El Paso, and I went out to the northeast side of town where they told me that the Border Patrol built this beautiful facility. Well, I found a thing on it, from local news. 7 by 24-hour security, beds, meals, 3 cooked meals on site, healthcare, daycare, diapers, formula for 2,500 plus capacity.
And there's no supplies for the hurricane victims.
No supplies for the hurricane victims. You ought to see this facility. I mean, it went on, I think it covered about, I would say maybe 6, 7, 8 square or 6, 7, 8 miles off on US 54, way out on the northeast side of town, where you head up, you butt up against the New Mexico border. I mean, unbelievable.
Wait, you realize that's where we built our border wall, right?
Yeah, well, you guys were you were over on the west side, because the northeast side also goes around the mountain. So you were on the west side. You were on the west side. You were at Sunland Park, right? So
yeah, we were in Sunland Park.
Yeah, Sunland Park has always historically been an issue. They actually have signs on I-10 there, saying, be on the lookout for illegals, between these hours. Because there used to be, a wave that would come across and work and then go back in the evening and that type of thing. But this is on the other side of the mountain. So, the Franklin Mountains are kind of like a V, in the valley is where the Rio Grande is. But on the northeast side, you go up, that's how the road that would go out to White Sands Missile Range and Carlsbad Caverns and all that type of stuff. The place you were at was headed out toward Las Cruces. So it's
yeah, we were on the I-10. You can see it from the I-10.
Yeah, it is beautiful. So you saw Mount Cristo Rey and all that, right? But on the
so we were like right in front of Mount Cristo Rey. And for people who don't know, Mount Cristo Rey is where the cartel does their ritualistic sacrifice at the cross that's on top of the mountain.
Joined by Diddy and Hillary Clinton, I'm sure.
Yeah, the cross of the sun. I mean, it's shameful, but it really was a sprawling facility. And I was like, oh my freaking God. And then I went and found a YouTube clip where they bragged about it, on the local news station, and they did an aerial overview of it. If you take a look at this and imagine 2,500 plus people, sitting there, now granted, they look like the tent type things, but you have beds, you have on-site food, on-site security, on-site activities for the kids, daycare, the whole 9 yards. And we have homeless vets sitting in squalor, in all of our major cities. And we're taking care of this. It just drives you nuts.
How about the people of North Carolina that literally have nothing? Like, they don't even have a building. Like, you can't even tell that there used to be a town there, right? And they're literally arresting people. They are arresting people who are trying to help people. And the army, right? They're like, there is whistleblowers in the army. There's a great girl who put out a video in her uniform and was like, yo, I need to explain what's going on here. We can't get through. We don't have ATVs, whatever. And they're not letting other people go up and get these people. They're not letting the helicopters go up there and get these people. Oh, and if you donate goods and stuff, guess what? The FEMA people will meet you and be like, oh, you got goods? Oh, okay. We're going to take them because we need to categorize them. And then we're going to give them out. And you need to go home now. Thanks for coming. Like, there are people who are dying. There are people who haven't gotten out. It's a week later. And y'all are holding up people and then arresting people for them helping. This is some freaking fucked up shit. And they're setting up the freaking spark, right? Because if there's a group of people who historically, like, you don't fuck, it's the people of Appalachia, right? You don't fuck with the people of Appalachia. They got guns buried in the mountains with their moonshine, and they'll shoot your ass and bury you, and you'll never be seen again. Okay, those were the people you don't fuck with, and guess what? They're fucking with them. They are fucking with them so badly and making people die in front of them because they won't let the goods and services in. Like, this is a really, really bad situation.
There are thousands dead, not hundreds, I'm sure.
Well,
No,
they,
go
they
ahead,
don't
Chris.
have food, but they got bullets. So God help them.
There's just no way out. There's no roads or anything. That's why it's the fact that they're not letting people fly drones over. Like, what are you going to disturb? It's such horse shit. These people, like, when you look at it like this, they're going to end up like, I
It's
think the
murder.
reason they're
It is
doing
murder. It is-
Appalachia,
Yeah.
I think it's because they know they're afraid of these people and they see it as an opportunity to try and weaken them. If they
No,
know
it's because they have approved vendors,
Yeah,
right? They want all the poor people out there suffering, drinking Evian fucking water bottles. Okay, like, this is how sick these people are, that they will put their money before people, and that's why, honestly, if you truly believe in Jesus, right, you know God will provide for you. Right? There have been times in my life where there was literally no money, no nothing, but God always provided. Always. Why the hell do I have to sell my soul to daddy government to tell me, oh, well, we'll give you $750, peasant. Here you go. Like, no. You know
Did
what?
you just say-
I will bet on Jesus all day long over daddy government.
Are you saying that the reason that they are not allowing people to donate goods is because they have specific brands that are like have a deal with them? Are you kidding me?
Yes.
So
Why do you
disaster
think
relief
in
is
all
now
of these
sponsored?
hurricanes and shit, they
Oh my
find
God.
warehouses? Oh, by the way, we had a warehouse full of water, but we didn't pass it out, right? Why do you think that happens? Because they're taking in the goods that people are donating and then driving, in some cases, clear across the country, right? And being like, no, stop, sir. We need to take control of these goods. We need you to hand them over now. We are FEMA. Do you understand we are FEMA? We could arrest you. Do you understand? We have guns. We have guns, right? Give us your goods. It's highway robbery. Give us your goods. Now you turn around and you go home. You're not welcome here. You didn't go through so there's a specific training group that they have to go through in order to become like people who go out and help people, right? Like, I didn't know you needed a specific training to go out and hand out water bottles, right? But the government ain't doing it. The people in the army who are whistleblowing in their uniforms and saying, excuse me, they are not letting us do anything. Okay. If we get orders that say we can do X, Y, and Z, we are not allowed to do anything but X, Y, and Z the way it is laid out. Right. They can't, oh, well, I don't even know how to describe it, right? If their orders do not specify that you can use a chainsaw to cut through a log, even though you have a chainsaw, you literally can't use a chainsaw. There is no outside thought, right? You have an SOP, you have your training schedule, and you have to do it like that by the book, right? They are not allowing the military to step out and do what they have to do in order to save people. They're too worried about handling it the way that the government has laid out for them. And if they don't do it like that, their asses are going to lose rank. They're the ones who are going to get in trouble. Even though they were just doing it to save Americans' lives, they would rather sacrifice these people in order to keep control of the situation. And there are people dying. There are people dying, and there are people risking their lives and their freedom to take their helicopters, to take their ATVs, to go in by foot, or sometimes they're hiking 20 and 30 miles up in the freaking Appalachian Mountains to get in there to help people, right? The town of Black Mountain, one of the worst hit, has turned away every single person who's tried to go in and help these people. And they're like, no, we have it handled. It's like, yo, that little old lady's like out there with a sign saying, help me. You're not doing anything. Can I go help her? No, sir, you can't cross this line. Have a great day. Keep moving. Like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Jen, isn't Fort Bragg like right there? The 82nd Airborne and other. I'm trying to remember, what other combat units are there, but we've got a ton of military resources right there.
We have sent all of our resources to Ukraine, right? The FEMA money has gone to the immigrants, and the resources that would be used in disaster situations like that. We have even sent our freaking transformers over to Ukraine so the Ukrainians can have freaking electric, okay? Because that's my fucking problem, right? Like, I really care. Do you really care? No, because you know why I don't care? Because there are Americans dying. There are Americans suffering right now. They are begging for breast pumps. They are begging for formula. There are babies that are going without food because these people want to make $1 and keep their brand deals with the government, right? Like, the American people should be in a fucking uproar. And like I said the other night, the founding fathers are rolling over in their graves. They threw tea in the harbor over a 2% tax. And here we are. We have a major disaster, which questionably might be caused, I don't know, by human elements. Let's just say that. Okay. So you have that. And they're saying, oh, you good Americans who will take off work, load your cars up on your own dime, don't ask for anything back. You're not allowed here. You're not approved. You didn't go through the proper channels, right? Like, who the fuck cares? Get these people out. Go in, get them out. If we can sit here and take care of migrants, if we can sit here and have freaking Haitians eating cats and them still getting their EBT cards, okay, we can go in and get these people out. And it's really funny because like in foreign wars, right, they can build bridges in hours. They have shit they throw down and it rolls out like a spike strip. Why aren't we doing that? Why are there still bridges out? Why are you not allowing the military to go in and do their jobs? There are Americans suffering and no one's coming in to help them.
Yeah, they didn't have any problem processing 15 million so-called asylum seekers coming across the border, figuring out a way to, change shitty diapers and make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for them. They didn't have that. I said earlier tonight, Jen, there's millions of people all over the United States who claim that they want to be here. They said they sought asylum. They need to pack their ass up in buses from wherever they are and send them down there. And, if they have to form human chains to get these people out, then that's what they need to do. You know, to bring these people supplies if they have to stand right next to each other and hand shit off one to the next because you can't get cars and trucks in there and you can't land a helicopter. That's what they need to do. We got millions of people who came in here begging to be Americans. Well, damn it, you know, here's your chance to be an American. Instead of sitting there and collecting our welfare payments and you know, living in you know, public housing or whatever the hell you're doing. I mean, you know, we have resources. I don't give a damn that the president was there today. His ass ought to be camped out there.
No, you know what, Chris? I have to interrupt you on that. What Joe Biden did was absolutely disgusting because you know what? From like 9 o'clock this morning until 4 p.m. or something this afternoon, there was a no-fly zone placed over the entire area affected. You know what that means? Ain't nobody getting rescued.
Yeah.
Nobody got rescued because Joe Biden needed to go in there and be like, oh, I'm Joe Biden. You're going to get $750. Like, really? Let's talk about BlackRock. Let's talk about the lithium mines. Let's talk about the quartz mines. Because guess what? Everything you're holding right now, guess what? Every single person that's holding a cell phone right now, you're holding a piece of the area that got freaking destroyed because the quartz is what's in our batteries, right? Or that's in our phones that make it go, right? So like we all have a piece of it in our phone. What does that tell you? They have a vested interest in that area. Why weren't the people warned properly? Why weren't they told? Because you know what? There was a TikTok like meteorologist, like not even like a real meteorologist, like a girl, right? Who's smart and knows how to do the weather shit, right? She was reporting that Ashland and that whole area, there was a very like catastrophic risk of flooding and exactly what happened. And she was doing that a full week in advance. The data was there. So why didn't you warn them? Oh, because you want those people to have their land and everything destroyed and have the geologic layout of the area changed so nobody has property lines anymore. Because now you go in and you eminent domain that land because there's propane tanks in the ground. We don't know where they are. There's so much rock. We can't dig through it. Oh my God. What are we going to do? Oh, we'll give them FEMA housing. Yay. You get to sell your soul to Big Daddy government so you have a roof over your head. You get to sell your soul to Big Daddy government so you can take care of your family. Okay. Now the government owns that land. Now they have unrestricted access to mine and do whatever they want on that land. That's why those people weren't warned. They wanted it to happen. And even like at the most innocent level, they wanted those people to lose their house in that storm. At the most egregious level, they used weather manipulation to enhance that storm and track it right over that area so those people would have their homes and lives destroyed. And they didn't warn them because they don't care.
Well, I will admit it's a very unusual storm track. Storms generally don't travel that way.
Yeah, Jen, I didn't even think about the disaster capitalism thing. You know, there was a piece put out by a former Fed official named Catherine Austin Fitts, you know, back during the campaign in 2019 called Planet Lockdown, you know, where she examined the COVID thing and the BLM riots and everything else. And she said that the vast majority of the damage was caused within, you know, 8 square mile radius of each Fed district office. And, you know, she referred to it as disaster capitalism. I didn't even think about what you just said until you said it, you know, that now
Are she
Now I'm
coined
not going
that?
to be able to wind down and get to sleep for a couple hours because I'm going to have to really dig in to what you said about the property lines and
No,
everything
sunlight,
else. That
the
makes
evidence
sense.
is there. The evidence is there.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And I've literally experienced this since I was a kid, right? Because the Nature's Conservancy that was founded by the Rockefeller family, right? They'll go into these areas, right? So my area in New York, which is in the Catskills, Roscoe is where I grew up. The rivers, it's the Beaver Kills right there, the Delaware, you have like all these rivers with all these tributaries that flood constantly, and it floods the downtown. It takes out people's homes. People die. There's like raging water coming down off the mountains that knocks people's homes out all the time. And you know why it keeps happening? Because they won't let them dredge the river, right? Dig it out, get all the shit out the bottom. You know why? Because the speckled brown fucking trout lives there, right? And God forbid they don't have the brown trout at the fly fishing capital of the world, which it was voted, right? Like, God forbid they don't have the freaking brown trout there. But, you know, what's a couple lives? What's a couple lives, right? They know the dangers. And they continue to choose money over human life. And that's how you know you're dealing with some evil fucking people, dude. And if you don't address them as the evil they are, right? And like this gets so into like religion and how it has been manipulated into this like pussified version of like, oh, no, Jesus didn't overturn the tables. No, he overturned the tables, right? You think that he's some like meek and like, oh, no, don't do it. Like, no. Like, we are supposed to challenge evil. We are supposed to stand up to evil and use the armor of God in order to do it. And we have been told that, no, that's not right. No, you don't use a bad tone. No, you don't speak back to someone of rank. Oh, you don't speak back to CEOs or billionaires. They deserve to be respected. Like, fuck you. You put your legs in the pants the same way I do, right? You act just because you knew how to like go and suck dick and whatever else you had to do in order to get ahead, right? You think that makes you better than me. Right? You think you just have more of a deserving place in this society because somehow you belong to this elite group? Like, that's disgusting. Right? And for far too long, we have given respect and bowed down to people like P. Diddy, okay? Like people like Jeffrey Epstein, right? All these respected people in society, right? And like, do you know what they're doing? You know how many rich people are involved in human trafficking that are being promoted all over the place, right? And we've all just sat here and, oh my God, Hollywood star. Oh my God, he's on CNN, right? Like, no, those are the people who have made evil okay in this world. Those are the people who have pushed their agendas over everything, over human life, either through abortion, we're letting people die unnecessarily, right? And setting it up so people died. And that is what our government has been doing. And not only here, what we have done around the world is horrible, horrible in the name of quote unquote democracy, right? Like, no. You know, like there's that scene in that movie where, what was it, Inglorious Bastards, where they're like, are we the baddies? I think we're the baddies. Like, we're the baddies. We've been the baddies, guys. And we've been told that we were doing it for the right reasons. No, what they did to Gaddafi was wrong, right? What they did to Saddam was wrong, right? We didn't have the right to do that. And for far too long, like we get involved because they wanted to pass the Patriot Act and take all of our rights away, but we would never do it willingly, right? So what do? They crash 2 planes into the World Trade Center and say, oh, it's this 6-foot tall Arab on dialysis in caves in Afghanistan. We gotta go get him, right? Wait, what? This is and then they make it so you can't even speak out against it because you're crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist.
No,
Right?
Jen, they
this is
stopped
not
looking for
America.
him to go after Saddam. They stopped looking for bin Laden to go after Saddam, and then they found bin Laden
Because
like
Daddy Bush,
later.
because Daddy Bush turned around 1 mile from Baghdad because he tucked his tail and ran away. So George Bush, Jr. had to walk in and finish Daddy's business. That's what they wanted, right?
And
They
they flew
wanted the
out. They
artifacts.
flew his family out that the very day, right out of the
Who
country,
was the
first
only
class.
plane to take off on 9/11 from New York City after the planes hit the World Trade Center? The bin Laden family. So you're telling me we let his family get on a private jet and go, whoosh, gotta go, bye. Like, this is a joke, and we have all been tricked horribly. Horribly. I'm done ranting now. I'm done.
Well, it's all coming out, and we're going to be vindicated, and we're going to win, and then we're going to watch these people go to prison or get hung at the gallows or lethal injection or whatever. But we're going to get to see it.
In Minecraft, hung in the gallows. Minecraft.
Yeah, right. Minecraft. Peacefully. And